All right, and here we go. We are
You
live.
have kids.
What's up, everybody?
Dad
This is
jokes.
Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 128, I think. Yes,
Yep.
let's go. It's 128. Wow, thank you all for being here. I see a lot of awesome faces already in the chat. You guys rock as always, and thank you for the support on this channel. Speaking of support, we got started out before we even are here with a $10 super chat from the one and only Chris Jones. Appreciate you, Chris. He says,
Birthday boy.
birthday. It is his birthday today. You're right.
Unit.
Happy birthday,
Let's go.
Chris, dude. And hope you're having a fantastic day. He says, you're all amazing and happy to have met you all. Happy to be able to interact and have a great time with each of you. One of the best shows and families ever. Yeah, we are a family here, bro. You're part of that too. This chat is as well. Everybody here. Appreciate you guys for all hanging out. We're going to have some fun today. Hey, look who's back. First in my heart. Lovely wife Caitlin is actually joining us on the show today.
Has it been that long?
Feels like it. Feels like it's been months. I don't know. How long has it been?
It's been like a month
A month?
at least. Yeah, like 4 shows. Somewhere around
You know, I was free this evening, so I just
there.
figured
No
I'd
clubbing.
hang out
No
with you
clubbing
guys.
tonight. Okay, that's cool.
No clubbing? Yeah.
Just enjoying your Dr. Pepper with 24 flavors.
24.
This 24 flavors.
I love your thumbnail today, by the way. Psycho actually gave you the idea, and you ran with that today.
I didn't do the space thing though, because you said to not do the space thing.
Yeah, because I wanted it to be Todd Howard. Instead of
Yeah, you just
Astronaut.
wanted that like classic.
Mm-hmm.
Where's
It's a good compromise.
Waldo?
You know, if you see Waldo here there on the thumbnail, that's actually Todd. That's Todd Doe. Todd Doe. That's
Todd Doe.
Todd Doe?
Todd Doe.
Oh, it is Todd.
Todd Doe.
And
It sounds like an
he's
alien you would see in like
actually-
Guardians of the Galaxy or some shit.
my name is Todd Doe. Todd Doe.
He's actually like, we hid him actually in the thumbnail too, like a really small version
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah, see if you can find Todd Doe in the in the thumbnail, everybody.
Pay attention to
Found
the
him.
show.
All right, let's get to some more amazing people here. Hey, one and only Pong Soul, what's up, dude?
Wow, it's starting with me tonight after the wife. Holy shit, I'm moving up the list, everybody.
Wife number 1 to wife number 2. Isn't that what people said before?
Yeah, early, yeah, a long time ago.
I remember that. It's like a vague memory.
Yeah, you remember that? I'm
Yeah.
back in the will, everybody. Look at that. I get a piece of the Fun Speculation Network when he dies. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Great Friday. First of all, hey, big shout out to Hogue. Hogue Law
Yes.
is back, everybody. My God, what an amazing thing to see. I didn't get to catch it live because I was on another show. I was on Gamers Initiative podcast, but I went back and watched it. He went live for 35 minutes, which is a big deal for him, obviously. This is kind of a test run. He said it right in the beginning. Didn't do any super chats, didn't do any of that, but got through the FTC's judges ruling against Sony for the most part. Got through all of that, did a fantastic job. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Hogue, Hogue family, Mrs. Hogue. Man, it's fantastic to have him back.
I caught some of that too, man. It was like
Yeah.
really like happy to see. You know what I mean? Just like
emotional
take some
to watch him.
it takes some guts to do that too.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? To
especially
come
when
back.
you know you're still not 100%,
Mhm.
not even close.
Yeah.
but you're still getting it out there. Just to see
He-
how you do.
He
I
did
mean, it's crazy.
fantastic though, man.
He
It was
did.
great. It was
Yeah.
it was great content and informative and puts most of us
Yeah.
to shame. And he's the one true pundit that people should
Right.
listen to.
Right, a lot of people pick up the slack. I mean, shout out to Post Up and
Yeah.
everybody that's tried to pick up the slack. But
Mhm.
it is different to hear Hogue go through
Yeah.
it from that perspective, from the attorney's perspective.
Right.
And it's something we've been missing for months now. It's been crazy, but just miss him overall. What a great dude. So just
Yeah.
want to give a quick shout out to that. But yeah, great Friday. I was on the Gamers Initiative podcast hosted by Red Dead Panda today because elite gaming guru had the day off today. He couldn't make it because it was his son's birthday. So it was Red Dead Panda, and it was Ashtray Gaming, the fraud. And then, of course, myself, and then J-Rock joined us as well. So we had a great show over there. Talked some of the good topics this week, and it was really fun. So I did that earlier this afternoon. But always, man, just another great Friday. Great to see the family here. Missed you all. Caitlin, it is awesome to have you back showing up and chatting.
I know. Thank you.
I know. I love it. I love it. But yeah, no, we got a lot of topics to get into.
Yeah.
I talked about it last night at PM to PM. I'm fiending for Starfield. There is no question about it. Like my past 2 weeks of gaming has been really weird. Tron Evolution from 360. Re-downloaded Mass Effect Andromeda because I needed my sci-fi fix and I was looking for something. So went that route. Unbelievable. After a million different games I could pick to do that, but Mass Effect Andromeda, I've never finished it, so it's kind of a fresh RPG for me. So that was kind of cool. Otherwise, still rocking out on Atomic Heart here and there. Age, Empires 2, obviously, you guys, we all hop into that and still do that. But yeah, it's been weird lately, Matt. But we do have a lot to get into. So let's get down to business.
Yeah, man. You said you were happy that Kate's back. So is Vic the Click. Hit us with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Vic. He said, "Thank God she's back. It's been a sausage fest since you left."
Thank you, Vic.
We know why Vic watches the show. That's for sure.
Vic
I appreciate
loves sausages. Let's go.
Appreciate you, Vic. What's up with you, Fuzz? How you been, man?
Doing pretty good, and just man, this I guess you could say FTC news along with the EU and CMA in the background. Man, so much to get into.
I saw
Can't
you
wait to
bitching at
talk about
Ubisoft again after the Vision update.
They broke some more stuff. They took one of my chess pieces that I use for one of my builds that gets me Secret Mines in like 3 seconds, and in the trash can. So
Really?
Ubisoft, I don't know.
Oh my God.
They've got tons of bad news in the forecast too. So man, let's hope they figure out a way to turn some stuff around and get the GMO family out of there, and somebody else that can hopefully get things situated. But
we'll talk about a little bit about Ubisoft today. We're gonna talk a little bit about Square today. We got if you guys panel, if you guys look in the DMs, I just actually sent topics.
Oh, what?
What the fuck
is this?
I don't know. I just something came over me today.
We're not gonna follow them, so why even do it? Let's just go.
Okay. I'm trying to be a professional podcaster now, right?
Speaking of Ubisoft, though, I mean, I know we'll get to it, but I hope you guys saw my post from WCC Tech or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Everything we talked about. Remember, Fuzz? We talked about it a lot too on the shop too about Ubisoft, and even if they stick around, even if they don't get bought, what were they going to start doing? Trimming the fat, right? They're way too big, and they're starting to trim the fat, which is sad to see because it's going to cost people jobs. So that's already started.
How you doing, Psycho?
I'm doing fantastic. I did catch Hoag's show, not live. I caught it probably like 40 minutes after he went live, but yeah, it was great to see him talking about the ABK deal and him trying to get back into the swing of things, and that was fantastic. And I was playing some games, and I tried the fuck's it called? It was in Games with Goldish this month.
Sudden Strike.
Yes, I tried that out.
4.
So yeah, that seems interesting. So I might be playing with that a little bit later. But
they finally gave us a game with gold that I actually kind of want to play.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's been a while. Games with gold and game I want to play. But yeah, there's a lot topics of been going on, and let's get into it. So Jasper.
Yeah.
What's up?
I've been playing. How you been? Destiny Lightfall. I finished that, and all the Destiny DLC was on sale. I never played it over the course of 6 years, so I went back and bought all those because they're cheap. So I'm going back through all the Destiny DLC. So that's what I've been up to.
How do you like Neptune?
It's all right. It actually reminded me a lot of Halo ODST when I first got in. I see a lot of people bitching about it, but just the way the city streets and stuff are, and you're just kind of slowly walking through it before you get your Sparrow on the street, it's it's a lot like ODST. It's
yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about they're not all in on it, right?
That's the first 5 minutes, that's what popped in my head is oh my god, this is fucking ODST.
Does it have good music like ODST did?
Yeah, it was vibe? That. Yeah, I think that's what did a lot of it. But
man, now you're actually having me intrigued in this. What about the story?
The thing with the story is I really wanted to get into it because it's finally like the big battle from where the first like teaser ended off on the Destiny 2 like first season deals or campaign. So you see all the ships attacking the Traveler, but it kind of just is another cliffhanger. So got to wait another year.
Yeah. Right on. I love this comment here. The herd theorem. Appreciate you hopping in. Said my wife is at a bachelorette party. So glad to have y'all to listen to and help take my mind off of women behaving badly.
I was just going to respond to him and said that I thought most men would enjoy the thought of that.
It depends on what it is, I think. You know, like you know, absolutely. But we do have a lot to get to. First off, Ubisoft closing offices.
Wait, I thought Psycho was running the show. What happened?
What?
Yeah. He
like that?
He took over there a little bit. That's cool.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to go through, so I just sped up the process.
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, we could do that next time. Each one of y'all could just pick a random person for the outro or for the intro. Like, hey, yeah, y'all do each other's outros. Just like when we do it later.
Oh my god!
Just like
you want us to do each other?
Yeah, well. No, that's what's going on at the bachelorette party.
Oh my god!
I'm just kidding. All right, sorry. All right,
Yeah, Mav, we got topics. Let's go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Right, all right. So
professional.
Well, according to WCCF Tech article sent to me today by the one and only Pong Soul. So this article says Ubisoft is reportedly closing down several European offices, including Ubisoft Benelux. Is that how you say that? Benelux? At least that's what an alleged email from the publisher says. A part of the email, which includes a letter, was posted on the Reset Era forums earlier today. Thanks, Creamium. That's what they say. Going by the posted snippet, a number of subsidiaries in Europe will be closed down to the publisher facing challenges caused by external factors. Although Ubisoft is said to be closing down various European offices, the email only directly mentions its Benelux studio. Unfortunately, the Ubisoft Benelux entity is subject to the intended closure, with most employees departing as of April 1st, 2023. The alleged snippet reads. They've included the snippet from the Ubisoft letter as posted on the Reset Era forums below. All right, so here's what was posted. As we all know, the market is constantly evolving, and as an organization, we need to keep up with it. At this time, Ubisoft is facing several challenges due to external factors, such as the decline in sales volume of physical games in favor of digital sales, the centralization of marketing by digitizing all our communication channels, the shift from major retail releases to F2P, free-to-play, mobile and seasonal games, and less major physical shows. To meet the challenges of the future, Ubisoft's management has decided to close a number of subsidiaries in Europe. Unfortunately, the Ubisoft Benelux entity is subject to the intended closure, with most employees departing as of April 1st, 2023. Due to the closure, Ubisoft BV will fully outsource the current distribution of physical games in the Benelux to a distributor to be announced at a later stage. Then this goes on to say, while several European offices will be affected by this decision, European development studios appear to remain unaffected. So this seems more like a publishing thing going on here, right? If true, this will be unfortunate for the affected employees at the European offices. We'll update you once more information about this matter comes in. For now, stay tuned and discuss this rumored closure of the publisher's European offices down below. Okay, so they're asking us to comment. Yeah, we'll talk about it here instead of on their website. Hey, let's go. We will discuss this. Thank you for that segue, WCCF Tech. Yeah, so this is another downward spiral for Ubisoft. As we've seen numerous times, it seems like they've had the Yves Guillemot brothers looking for a handout somewhere. They finally got one with Tencent to invest in their own company, which increased their foothold with the shares in Ubisoft just enough to keep them as a majority shareholder. Since then, we've heard numerous reports about games getting canceled here and there, left and right, failed experiment games happening, a doubling down of Assassin's Creed with 10 potential projects in the works alone for Assassin's Creed, as well as talking about other games that have not been selling that well, according to them. So this is very interesting. They have a lot of employees, obviously, at Ubisoft. They have a lot of projects in the works, but they have not had a lot of great content coming out lately, which is leading to this, I think. They could have a good year at the end of the year. They have Assassin's Creed Mirage potentially still actually hitting at the end of this year. That Avatar game could potentially happen. Skull and Bones may happen. We know Beyond Good and Evil 2 ain't happening there, as with now the that studio head might be replaced according to other reports and stuff like that as well. It's just like chaos going on with Ubisoft right now. So is this the start of the downfall when you start actually closing your offices here, right? You're like Pong said in the intro, you're trimming fat, right? This is going to have an effect on them with capabilities somewhat and stuff like that. And, you know, you start in any business, once you start getting rid of some of your assets, it might affect your ability to do well. So I don't know. Maybe this is a smart move for them to trim down, but it's not a good look right now, especially after everything that's been going on. So what do we think about it? It's mainly on the publishing side, it seems like. So is this just because it's less physical sales out there? They don't need them anymore? Or is it actually a more serious than that? I'm curious with your take first, Pong, because you sent this to me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the contraction that we thought would start to happen with Ubisoft, whether they got purchased or not. The company's way too unwieldy. Over 20,000 employees. I mean, again.
Well, there's less now. Well, it will be.
Yeah, well, there's less now. Yeah.
Shout out to them, though. I feel bad for anybody.
Oh, no, this is the bad part. This is the bad part. This is what bad decision making does, right? This is when your stocks are falling apart in front of your face. This is when you're doubling down on Assassin's Creed and you're going to have 10
tripling
games. Tripling down. You're going to have 10 Assassin's Creed games supposedly in the next few years. This is what you have to do. And again, you know, when they went out there and were looking for people to potentially merge with or buy, they weren't going to get any offers because everybody's looking at their size and looking just at it's too much overhead. It's way too much extra. Again, they're one of the few publishers out there that have their own set of support studios where they hardly ever go outside. Now, we do know that they contract a little bit because 3-Bits worked for them. So they certainly do still contract, but for the most part, it's all internal. But again, when you're not doing well, when you're financially strapped, when you're out here taking, China money to make sure that you can keep the doors, open somewhat and stay kind of independent and not have to maybe potentially face another hostile takeover at some point. Yeah, man, you got to make some tough decisions. This is exactly what we talked about was going to happen. And if down the road the Guillermo family do decide to sell, they need to pretty up the place, right? They need to do some remodeling and make Ubisoft a much better looking potential purchase for somebody overall, and that's going to take years. Again, with a company this size, this restructure ain't going to happen overnight. You're going to see bits and pieces here and there, and I think this is the start. And again, it's something we talked about last year, and now it's funny that we're at the beginning of 2023 and it's starting to happen. So it just makes a whole lot of sense. They've got to do something with this company. It's just way too big. It's way too massive.
Yeah. Dude, what's their hope at Ubisoft? I'm wondering, like, if I'm there, right? I look at all the high ups and everybody that's been making these decisions that led us to this point, right? And that hasn't changed. There's also been like all those allegations within Ubisoft too, right? They got way less fallout from that than ABK did, right? But there's also some pretty bad stuff at Ubisoft.
Yeah.
We've heard bad things from, people that we know, right, that have worked with them as well. So it's like there's not a great culture type atmosphere, it doesn't seem like. So that's going against them. Plus you have the email that Yves Guillermo sent out to the entire staff at Ubisoft saying, like, the future of our company is on you, basically, right? Like, pretty much putting, like, hey, save us, right? He's saying, you guys save us instead of me, right? Like, that was the most
Tone deaf.
disastrous, tone deaf leadership. And they actually had people from some of the studios actually walk out because of that letter. So you have this leadership issue at the head of the company, right? You have unhappy employees, right? You have games being worked on, canceled, left and right, like experiments left and right. They got one thing going for them good right now, which is Assassin's Creed. Is that why they're doing this 10-game plan maybe with Assassin's Creed? And that's just like, for me, it seems like even more of a bad decision though, because it has no foresight.
No.
Right? Like, what if people just get sick of it? You know, it's like they want Assassin's Creed to become their Call of Duty.
Well, I mean, that's why Call of Duty became that way, because that's what they needed to sustain the company. And that's
right.
It seems what Ubisoft is doing is they're just going to milk Assassin's Creed because they know they can sell that and it'll sustain the company for at least another couple of years.
I just don't see Assassin's Creed having that same power that Call of Duty does. Right? It's a different kind of game. You know what
also, I mean? They're not doing like the exact Call of Duty model where they make every studio make one game. They're making 20 studios make their own game.
Right. So each is a little different.
Yeah.
And they've never done Assassin's Creed multiplayer really well. Also.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of like what makes Call of Duty popular. Yeah, it's got the campaign. You know what I mean? But like you have a huge multiplayer community with COD, right?
They're going to try.
They're going to try
that multiplayer Assassin's Creed at some point.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Infinity, right?
Yes.
Was that the official name, or did they name that differently at that?
Well, that was just the hub app that connects everything.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't. They've lost their way, and we talked about that several times before, and it just seems so obvious to the people from outside on how to fix things and how to turn things around. The whole Ubisoft Plus thing coming to consoles was announced like well over a year. It seems like well over a year ago now, and it's still no word now on when that's happening. Fuzzy, what's it take for Ubisoft to turn this around?
I mean, it's sad watching them move the way they are, and looking back on history, it's almost like I actually wish at this point that hostile takeover would have happened, because it seems like the Guillermo
Vendy maybe.
Yeah, Vendy. There's just so many things that they have as far as IP that they're ignoring, or so many things that they're choosing not to do, or when they decide to do them, it's like 2 years too late kind of thing. Like they could have reiterated on, Rainbow Six Siege. Focus on the tactical aspects, slower movement, more true to the Tom Clancy name. And you got smaller teams doing like Ready or Not type stuff on PC and early access, when they should have been the ones, doing some more of that stuff to kind of reinvigorate the IP. You got Destiny out there that goes through its highs and lows as far as when it has seasonal content and stuff. Yet they only put the smallest of small teams together, and it's not even the main team that works on the IP to do the seasonal stuff. And then when the system breaks, it's like, we'll get around to it when we get around to it. And like 2 months later, it seems like, oh, well, we're finally going to give you the season that you should have had 2 or 3 months ago. We're going to give it to you now, even with the breaks and issues and whatnot. I hate to see it in the sense of, the casualties of, as far as employees, not casualties like actual casualties, but as far as like the workers there, the company has been growing and growing as far as the size of employee base without the revenue coming in to support it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, maybe if there was a third party that came in there that would have kind of either trimmed the fat or been able to repurpose some of these positions into other aspects. Like I really didn't want Xbox to try to even acquire Ubisoft, just for the fact that it would have been a PR nightmare when you have probably 5,000 to 10,000 employees too much or too many for what you actually need. But Xbox could probably use those additional staff members for a lot of the support studio stuff that they're already going through themselves, or the contractor stuff that they're going through which may have softened the blow a bit, but considering how long, Eves has been dragging this on, and then he puts all the onus on the employees. Hey, save us. When the employees and some of the leads at some of the dev teams or at the studios are saying, hey, let's focus on this, or let's make this game this way. And instead, Eves is talking about, NFTs, and you have to monetize this. And like, not everything has to be monetized. Like, you can have a single player game that does extremely well without having, loot boxes or time savers and stuff like that, like they've been doing in the past, which I'm pretty sure still works for them to some extent. But when you're starting to do this whole free to play mobile stuff, and you're trying to implement those same ways of making money, when all you have to do is just put together a decent enough game that people are willing to buy. Like, okay, you were talking about Assassin's Creed, go ahead and do the single player story and move on to the next Assassin's Creed or the next IP, the next Far Cry or Division 3 or what have you. Like, I'm not the biggest opponent against mobile games, but it's like, it seems like ever since they saw that there's money to be made over there, they've kind of lost their focus on how they were making money to begin with. And it's like watching that train wreck while it's the steam engine rolling downhill and the brakes failed like 2 miles ago, kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just sad to see right now. And the fact that they took money from Tencent and all it did was just basically go into the Guillemot family pocket, as opposed to, it doesn't seem like any of those funds were put towards the studios or the employees or
bonus,
retaining
so they had
staff.
to get that back somehow.
Yeah, it's like they've been bleeding talent, and it just, I don't know. It, like, some of the people that you look forward to, as far as like that used to be over at Massive, have gone to other places. The people that used to be at Red Storm have gone to other places. So it's like, obviously they're having bigger internal issues than what's even publicly known, kind of thing. And they just get rid of the Guillemot family. Like, somebody call a Vendy up again. Somebody just take them over, just boot that family out. And I think you have a company worth saving at that point. As long as the Guillemot family are still at the head of the table, it's just, I don't know, fire sales the next thing down the road. Sorry to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't even like hearing them talk in interviews. It just rubs me the wrong way, like the way they talk about games, right? Like, and other CEOs still talk about numbers and money and stuff like that. But when I hear like Eves talk in an interview, he like just like blatantly lies a lot of times, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I can go back to interviews when he says things like, "That's not what our developers only want to make these kind of games because that's what people play." And it's like, that ain't true, because we've heard from these people otherwise about pitches left and right all the time about games they want to make that you guys don't approve because you want to figure out a way to monetize it more, right? So it just rubs me the wrong way. Psycho, who could save Ubisoft?
Someone's at your door.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
got
see
somebody
that.
dancing in the store.
Yeah, hold on. Okay.
Definitely not. I don't want to see Tencent trying to come in and swoop them. But what's the lesser of two evils? It's a right now. Well, just depends on how bad Ubisoft is financially, and if they're going to be around in a year or so. Because Microsoft right now, I know they want to buy more studios, but
I was gonna say, I think
large,
that's the best bet for Ubisoft, is maybe like some of those studios that are in the same country, like just branching those off and selling like the I don't know, like the Brussels studios, like just giving those to like some company and just like piecing it out like country by country, because they have so many studios in so many countries over there. Like,
yeah, I definitely see, having somebody like I was going to say, with Microsoft right now, it has so much with Ubisoft, not Ubisoft, but Activision, that it's going to be a minute before they buy another really big studio like Ubisoft. I mean, they're a little bloated, so for them to take on, because that there's a lot of developers that are in there that would they say shit, I mean, they could use, I think, what is it, Ninja Theory, that's over in London, I think, correct, I think it's London.
Yeah, they're in the UK
Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah, and that's where
Yeah.
Phil was visiting the other
Yeah.
day.
So, I mean, if they have some studios over there, they can, try to spread out some of these developers if they want to go to other places. But it's really
Bethesda's
hard.
right there too.
Yeah, Bethesda. But it's
And
hard.
Rare.
It's hard for you don't want to see like a Tencent coming in and scoop up Ubisoft, just because what would they would not do justice to any of the Tom Clancy video games. What would they just be licensing those games out? You just don't know. Did they buy them just for the players' information so they can sell it and make more money on the back end that way? It's hard to say, but
I think I have a solution here, right? This would be, I mean, you would have to majorly trim down Ubisoft, right? I mean, majorly. Like, I think Ubisoft, maybe they like do this before to make themselves more acquirable, right? Which maybe could be part of the steps that they've been undergoing now, and maybe they progress through this. But there's another publisher out there that has been looking to merge with another company, right? That's been public about it. That also has been several reports about them contacting and different publishers and all these different things, and nobody actually coming to terms, right?
They don't want them.
But in this instance with Ubisoft, somebody else would have to take charge of it, right? So I don't.
That's the problem.
I'm right, and I don't think this is likely in any scenario, right? But if I was EA, that EA has been wanting to do something. EA has a big infrastructure as well, right? So if Ubisoft did make themselves somewhat obtainable, right now they're not, in my opinion. But if they were to transform their company enough, slim it down enough to do something to where they have the dev studios and the IP and the part of the publishing division or whatever. Was it Andrew Ryan at EA, I believe, that they want to maintain control with them being in charge. For me, like right now, EA has always been like, oh, the big bad or whatever. But the last few years, I mean, they've had their misses for sure, but they're still doing a lot of good, right? So I would rather EA have control over their properties than Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Right? Because EA, you could do a lot with the Clancy brand. They could do use those studios to help with some of their big games that they have. Plus, also you could really get Assassin's Creed. It would be kind of like unaffected under them. It'd be a good fit, in my opinion, if Ubisoft was obtainable. But it's just
but
I said that last year.
Yeah.
I said that last year. It makes perfect sense if they were willing to trim and if the Guillermo family step aside. It's the perfect fit. They would be an absolute powerhouse that would be solid no matter what happens from the rest of the industry going forward. They would be locked with all the IP that they would own at that point between the two. It'd be insane. They would have massive power within the industry and control their own fortune at that point. It is the perfect fit. I said that last year, Mav, and I completely
we called them EA Soft, I think, at the time.
Something like that. Yeah. Ubi Arts.
Ubi
Let's
Arts.
go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Psycho. Didn't mean to jump over you if you still got one.
I'm sure Kate, doesn't really care about what's going on here, but I do want to get into this.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Oh, you do?
No, I said no.
Yeah,
no,
but
I don't even know what the fuck y'all are
break
talking
it down.
about.
Yeah.
Break it down.
Well,
break down the finance side. Let's go.
Now, the only thing I would like to see if if Ubisoft, if EA does take them on, just keep Ubisoft, like just keep them as Ubisoft under your umbrella. It'd be like an EA company, so this way they can have those games like Assassin's Creed and the Tom Clancy still have those under that Ubisoft name, and then and then do some kind of military collab, with Battlefield or something like that, but not in the X Defiant way of doing a collab of having different characters from different IPs. So it's just,
I think the problem is though, like if Ubisoft shrinks down enough to where EA actually wants them, what does Ubisoft have to offer?
IP and dev talent.
But does some of that IP go with some of those studios that they sell off?
I think, Jasper, you got to make the tough decision there, and I think that you're closing studios. I think you're letting people go. As much as I hate to say this, Ubisoft, where they're at, they have to consolidate down, and that means loss of jobs. That means the hard stuff. But I really think that's ultimately where they're at. Because you wouldn't want to sell the IP. You
there's some studios that like they could just let go and be themselves. Like Red Lynx used to be their own studio that made Trials, and now they put them on to like make Division Heartland. Like you could just let them go.
You could.
Yeah, but at Trials, I'm sure they would be willing to part with Trials, probably, right? And like stuff like that, right? But like
little stuff, some of the little stuff, sure, I could see.
But like the Clancy brand, I think they want to keep that, and
I'm
they want
just
to
saying,
keep
like
Assassin's
they have
Creed,
certain studios that they could let go and it would be their own thing. But then at the end of the day, like you're losing such talent there with those studios that could be their own thing. That it's like, well, now you have shitty support studios that we're buying. So it's like,
right, and that's the problem. That's why I'm saying you're going to have, like, at this point you have to make the tough decisions. And I hate to say this, but this is what happens when you have a company that's got poor leadership that runs it into the freaking ground over and over again. It comes to a point where that leadership, if they are going to stay in power for the time being, to get themselves into a healthy spot, it's going to cost jobs. It's going to cost people livelihoods, because that's what happens. Again, if the leadership fails, it trickles down. That's where it goes. Really, at this point, I guess I'll just end my point at this. They got to focus, and what I would do is I can consolidate down, finish some freaking games outside of Assassin's Creed, outside of Far Cry.
That would be a big
finish
thing.
the games. If you got to go the Activision route at this point to get Skull and Bones out the door, right, to make sure that Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually gets finished sometime this century.
Put that in a file somewhere.
That's fine, but I think it's had potential. And it might be too late for the game. You're absolutely right. I'm just using it because it's an obvious thing. Avatar, your new Division, whatever the hell this is going to be, you got to finish these games. So if you got to be like Activision and pull teams off of whatever freaking projects you got them working on right now and start having bigger teams finish these games, then do that, right? Consolidate down, get your teams focused, finish the projects that you have in the works, get them out the door in good shape, see if any of them hit. Again, we probably think Skull and Bones is already dead on arrival, right? It's DOA, but you got to get it. You put this much time and effort into, you got to get it out the freaking door. Stop with these delays, man, and finish these projects. It can kind of become a remedy right now with all these other titles that you're not finishing. Get them done, get them out the door, consolidate while you're doing that, get lean and mean, and then start looking around and saying, okay, now we've got kind of a roadmap. We've kind of finished projects. We're kind of clearing the deck of a lot of this garbage that we have had out here forever. Now let's chart a way forward. But this whole, we're going to have 10 Assassin's Creed games, and we're going to have how many Division games at the end of the day, and we're going to support some and not support. That is where you're lost. You are just losing ground year after year by trying to do it this way. So you really got to make the tough decisions.
The key issue that Ubisoft has had for me for so many years, it stems all the way back in the days when, after Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2 came out, after Graw 1 and 2 came out, and that era, like at something within them changed after that.
The money.
And all of a sudden it was like, well, we're gonna only start making things that fit into these molds of what we think is the most popular things in the industry, right?
Pacing.
So they had like Rainbow Six Patriots that was announced, and they like people were excited, and that just like, where is it? All of a sudden it went silent, right? Then we never got it, and so we got Rainbow Six Siege because it was a multiplayer based like live service type
that turned
game,
the generation
right?
for the Xbox One, and just Ubisoft was gone.
Yeah, and that it ended up being a good success for them, right? Rainbow Six Siege, but that was almost the worst possible thing that could have happened because
It didn't start off good.
and then they see,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
took
didn't
a
start
year or
off
two.
good, but they got it running. Then at that point, it's like, okay, well, let's like make all of our franchises like have to fit these molds, right? Like, and Eves has said this in his interviews when I called him a liar about this when he says the Dev Studios only wanted to make open world games back in the day, right? And he just always kind of said this stuff, and it's like the mentality of what the dev studios make at Ubisoft primarily comes from influence from the top down over genre specific decisions, right? Over industry trends, as opposed to creativity of what the creators want to make, right? And that's the core essence, the core element of what is wrong with Ubisoft. Now, you're going to hit on some of them, right? Because they have a lot of talent there. They don't make bad games. They make good quality games, right? They have good quality developers there. A lot of talent. So the games that when they release, they're still usually high quality, but they have so many experiments going behind the scenes that they keep flip-flopping on and failing because they realize, well, this is not going to actually be as popular as we thought. This isn't actually, well, we see this trend changing in gaming, so we're going to cancel this project. Or what should we turn this thing into? What kind of monetization model should we go after with this? Hence Skull and Bones. The simplest solution would have been what everybody wanted originally. Spin-off Assassin's Creed, Pirate Assassin's Creed, franchise.
Flag.
Let's just call it Black Flag franchise. What everybody wanted. Instead, we still don't know what Skull and Bones is, and it was supposed to come out years ago.
Man,
And
they got a super secret version. That's the real version, though, that nobody's played yet.
Yeah.
They got the super
top secret.
and it like things like Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like I feel like
Yes.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 was always just a myth, and it was always just something that they were working on behind the scenes in order to put in their like financial reports to drive up like consumer
most
interest.
fantastic teaser trailers ever created.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been, how long has it been now since that?
Like
Well,
10
10
years.
10 years? It's
10
like a
years?
Duke
Yeah.
Nukem Forever situation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Except like it's just get down to making video games.
Well, it's
Make
like
video games, right?
they see how popular is a PUBG and Fortnite.
They need to stop
and
paying
then-
attention to that
But
stuff
see,
so
they're
that
much,
was
like,
that
you know
they went
what?
through the battle royale trend and they never put one out because they took too long. So now
well,
they're fucking switching
they
trends
did
again.
release. They released Hyperspace, which is the ultimate flop because it sucked.
Yeah.
Because they were chasing a trend. They were trying to
And
be the
then
next
they
Fortnite.
saw-
They're trying
And
to be
then they
Apex.
saw Sea of Thieves and like, that's what we can turn freaking Skull and Bones. We can make into a big freaking MTX Skull and Bones game, and it will make us money, and we'll be filthy rich in the fucking French Riviera and wherever the fuck we are.
if they were looking at that, did they miss the whole boat, pun intended, with Skull and Bones, because they don't even have ship to ship battle. At least
Yeah.
like that's what boggles my mind is the decisions, the directions they take the game.
They had that
I
in
understand
Black
what they're
Flag.
chasing.
You know
They
what I
had
mean?
that in
It's-
Black Flag. They had everybody screaming at them, give us Black Flag in a pirate, just a full pirate game as Black Flag. Just do that. Just do that whole ship combat. Do all of it. And what do? We're going to outsmart everybody. We're going to create a totally different version and we're going to do this. Although we've heard they've had so many different versions of this game that at one point it was kind of Black Flag, and then the leadership scrapped it and said no.
And then they decided the model they went with was a $70 free to play game.
Correct. That's the problem. That's the problem.
that
Like
makes
every single decision is made, like you said, Mav, outside of the creative space. Every single decision is, how do we monetize this before how do we make a good game? It's how do we monetize this?
Is
We
you
don't
make
care
a
what
good
the
game
game is.
first,
How
and
do you
then
monetize it?
then
Right.
you like you
Right.
know what I mean? Like the priorities are just like twisted. Like I get
Yes.
you got to make money. I get companies want to
Right.
try these things and experiment, but don't do it with so much all the time that you
But
actually
even,
run the risk
like,
of not even being able to release fucking good
even
games.
when they had games in development that like this Ghost Recon game, it was in development and they're like, oh, NFTs is coming around. We should try to fucking put that in Ghost Recon.
Right.
Like,
Right.
smash the
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
Ghost Recon.
But
Anyway.
but that's the problem. They didn't have the game right. They didn't. They released another incomplete game and then said, "Oh, we'll fix it and we're going to add NFTs to it as well." No. You screwed up the game. You pissed off your fan base. People actually liked Wildlands. You changed the formula again, piss people off. You say, "Oh, we're going to fix it," but then you always do something else. "Oh, we're going to add NFTs. Aren't you guys excited?"
Yeah.
No, we're not fucking excited, Ubisoft. Fuck,
And
bring out a
I
great game.
like Breakpoint now, but
Yes,
when it launched, it was a mess. You know, like
Terrible.
they
They
ruined
killed
they
it.
you know it's
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know. Anyway, let's move on past this because we could probably rant about Ubisoft forever.
Because we love them. I love
I do
Ubisoft.
too. I feel like people think we hate Ubisoft sometimes when we talk about this stuff. It's because we love the properties they have so much. We
Yes.
hate the games. We love the games they have so much.
Yeah.
Like Splinter Cell, like I said, Halo 1A for me, like Splinter Cell's 1B. We went 10 years now without a Splinter Cell game. It's a
I can
travesty.
believe
It's the main name and the face of the Ubisoft brand is Sam Fisher, right? And they have ignored making a game. Actual
Oh,
game
I
with
got an
Sam
idea.
Fisher.
Ubisoft, hear me out. Make a Splinter Cell game set in the past, and we can call it a Splinter Cell Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I was just going to say that, Jasper. Stop reading my mind because I was about to say I can't wait till
But make it a
Guillermo comes.
mobile.
I can't wait till Guillermo comes out on stage and goes, "Our entire universe is a part of Assassin's Creed. Everything. Tom
Everything,
Clancy's Assassin's
yeah.
Creed.
Oh my
Everything
God.
is now one universe."
Oh,
because
if they
that's
ever
the new trend.
combined Clancy and Assassin's Creed, I would like.
We're doing MCU, but Assassin's Creed. Everything. That's
Wow.
It's the multiverse.
Yeah,
That's,
when they take over Sam Fisher's mind and the Animus, that's the
Yes.
day that Ubisoft is dead.
we're gonna do movies. We're gonna do movies now too.
Yeah, they were.
They
I-
need to.
They were gonna do it like they. I was
Well,
excited.
they
They
did
were gonna
Assassin's
make
Creed
a.
movie.
They were gonna make
Yeah,
a
the
Splinter
Assassin's
Cell
Creed
movie
Netflix.
with Tom Hardy.
Yes.
Tom Hardy was gonna be Sam Fisher. I was down for that. Fucking Tom Hardy's
Sure.
badass, right? Like I was like, let's go, but never happened. Anyway, I got a question for Kate.
What?
Where's Starfield?
It is it's in March.
Is
in
it
March.
is it still in March?
It's in March.
It's in March.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Good answer.
That's a good answer. So are you a marcher with us?
Put it up
You-
there,
I mean,
Steve.
So do you feel as strongly as us that the game could actually hit in March?
I don't feel strongly about anything to do with it whatsoever, except for supporting you guys.
Yeah. And you're the creator of the Marchers logo and image that's been going around. That people
Yes.
actually said, "Oh, I didn't know who made that." It was you. So thank you for making
It's an
it.
NFT, and you can buy it for $1 million.
NFT. You
Okay,
can buy for $1
Yves.
million. All right.
Caitlin Guillermo. Here she comes.
Caitlin,
$1
It's a
million.
blockchain.
Please,
you can play the Marcher Experience NFT game coming out next
Jesus.
month. And we'll watch us
Watch it.
all. The experience is watch us all get our hopes and dreams up, and then it does not have a happy ending at the at the end. What do you guys think? I mean, so the insiders last week, right? A lot of them were like, "Hey, Starfield deep dive announcement is imminent," which led to what a lot of us thought was possible. A lot of the rumors were that the deep dive could be around the 15th. And to this point yet, we have still not had the announcement of the deep dive. So this week for some of us, and especially in the Marcher community, has been a little down. But I will still say we're most of us at least are still standing on our square. Psycho seems to have given up in our pre-show conversations, but we're still most of us standing on our square and think it's a good possibility.
It's not
still.
far off.
Yeah. But
And we had another theory shot down too as well today. So
which one was that?
our theory that next week's media event was
Oh,
actually
yeah.
a Starfield event,
Mhm.
and that officially got shot down.
Yeah, when we saw
unless they're going really deep on it, like unless they are really faking out everybody.
we saw the Redfall event like invites get out. Like shout out to Colt Eastwood who posted pictures of his.
They're flying
and stuff.
people out there. They're flying.
Amazing for Redfall.
I saw like smaller YouTubers that's why too. Like even
that's why it's Starfield. It's not Redfall. It's a deep fake.
I'm saying they're making this the complete.
They don't fly.
They're
gonna
get there Redfall. And they're gonna say, "All right, everybody, here's a black light. Shine it on your Redfall invite." And it's just gonna like change to Starfield with some magic. Yeah. What? Oh my God! It's a Starfield event too. Yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, y'all think it's a timeline wise that event, the closed media event, where it's not just media now, it's actually like YouTubers and like people like that are going to be there. Influencers and journalists.
How come I didn't get an invite then?
I don't know. We didn't get one.
Because you don't do video games, Kate. You do cooking.
So
it could, with them like having an event, a Bethesda event with all the people, the heads meeting up, they could like start recording some of the dialogue between like Pete Hines and Todd, like if they're on stage talking about Starfield, like so they can get it out for the next week.
And there's no doubt it could be presented as Redfall, but they could surprise everybody there and just be like, "Hey,
and here's
like a 10-minute
look."
So this was getting. Do you think we could get an announcement of the deep dive within that scenario, and they make it public at the same time? Right.
It's Bethesda. They get real creative.
They're gonna hand out the game to everyone there.
You get Starfield.
Well, because that's what it would be like. What Game Pass Dad with what game did he have? Atomic Heart. So if they do have influencers for gaming wise and Twitch streamers and all that, then they could get on this media bandwagon to kind of put out like, here's Redfall when it's, they come in, they say it's Redfall, but then it's like, but we have something else to show you, but you gotta sign these NDAs real quick. And then they have this whole thing going on and everybody gets a sneak peek of what's coming out, and then they can, like we were saying, because they could write their articles and whatnot on this piece, and then this way they're not in the dark, kind of like how Hi-Fi Rush came Shadow Drop. So this way, and then because again, Todd Howard has came out and said, no, Todd Howard has came out and
make sure you're okay there for a second.
No, I had to think real quick. Okay. Todd Howard has came out and said that he would come out and release a game a week later. He has said that. So from what we know, it's not unlikely. It's just that everyone's like, because we haven't heard anything. Maybe we haven't heard anything because they're waiting for this to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. That's a good
thing. I don't agree with is I don't think that they would just like pop out some NDAs right there to all those people. I don't think there's any way that they could just like trust that, they wouldn't say anything.
Are they going to be able to?
What were you signing to do?
Well, are they going to be able to talk about the stuff they see with Redfall?
I'm sure they're recording stuff for like some kind of promotion like a month later or a couple weeks later.
They may actually have some kind of NDA thing or embargo, possibly just because like of a date when they can share what they saw.
Well, I'm saying like they could have, that could be like a already have happened type of thing.
They could like,
for sure. Yeah.
That
they may have had to do that
could just them like pull everyone into a theater like at the end of the day and be like, and before you go, here's 10 minutes of Starfield to like watch or whatever, just so you can talk about that in a couple weeks too.
Yeah, it's possible. So the other scenario, we are grasping, right?
We're grasping. I mean, again, I'll be straight up. Now we are truly in tinfoil country. So we are there. We're putting up the red strings right now because that's. But we are trying too much here. But again,
to be fair, Pong, look at it from this perspective, right? If what we said before was true, they didn't need 2-week announcement lead up for the deep dive, right? No. So we both agreed on that. All of us here agreed with that, right? They didn't need a whole 2-week lead up announcement for the deep dive, like they did with the Dev Direct because of the climate that was going on back then. So if the deep dive was on the 15th, which some of the insiders have speculated it could be right around the 15th, right? If the deep dive wasn't the 15th, maybe we shouldn't have expected the actual deep dive announcement this week anyway. Maybe we should expect it next week. And the 7th event, maybe that was just us speculating, right? That maybe Starfield will be there. But they could still announce the deep dive anytime next week, and this event still take place, right? Like Monday it could happen, Tuesday at the event could happen, Wednesday could happen, Thursday could happen still, and you could even announce it really the week after that, Monday or Tuesday, and still have it on the 15th, right? So what day is the 15th that week? Is that that's a Wednesday. So they could announce it the 13th, which gives people 2 days heads up. It's like what they do at a state of play.
Are they going to Bethesda, Maryland, the office there? Were they LA somewhere?
It was LA,
Los Angeles.
It was
okay.
LA, right?
Los
Microsoft
Angeles.
Theater, wasn't it? I think so. I don't know.
So if they, it's the 13th.
I was just trying to.
If it doesn't happen by the 13th, a deep dive announcement by the 13th, that's where I get really worried about about the March date.
And I'm not, I'm not gonna. There are different ways to look at this. Like they could be clearing the decks. They're trying to get. It just depends what comes out of this Redfall presentation, right? If people start talking about this Redfall presentation immediately afterwards, then I got to question whether or not Starfield, like if they're going to do the showcase and take away from that.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If this is a meet and greet and they're giving the press upfront information and it's under NDA and it's like, hey, you can't talk about this until, whatever date in the future, then that's a different story and they're trying to get this done and then they can move on to the Starfield stuff. So there are different ways to look at this, but again, I'm not going to say that this wasn't, a little bit disappointing if you're looking for this early Starfield release. This doesn't necessarily bode well that they're pushing Redfall this hard and that they're flying people out. It really doesn't, like, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of studios do that for multiplayer games. So like Battlefield always does that. They always fly people out like a couple months before.
So that's the one thing.
Record footage. So
you would think they would do something like this maybe with Starfield. Right.
Well, it's a single player game though. Like,
yeah, but
if
Cyberpunk did it, right? They had everybody come in for a press.
The whole Yellow Chair Mafia was there.
The whole Yellow Chair Mafia was there. They showed it off. They were under NDA. They couldn't talk about it for a while. I remember Paris giving his overall impression, just like, you guys, I can't wait for you guys to see what I saw, blah, blah, blah. I remember all that, but they couldn't talk about it until later, right? And then the Yellow Chair started showing up. And that's when all that started. So they've done it for single player games in the past. Other companies, obviously, not Bethesda per se, but like I said, they're putting a lot of marketing into Redfall. Like they are really pushing this. Like they want this to be Arcane's biggest game. And I'm afraid, like in my mind, like with this much upfront Redfall, like again, are you going to take away from that with Starfield?
Right.
Are you really, gonna jump all this
because it'll
money
overshadow it in the meantime?
Or are you marketing Redfall because it needs it more than it would say Starfield?
Correct.
That's true too.
Correct.
That's
the other way to look at it.
Right,
again.
exactly. So, are you still a marcher, Pong? Are you still the head? I mean, because we've been counting on you as the leader of our cult. So,
the cabal,
I mean, your lack of faith right now is a little unnerving for me.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
okay, it's time to pass out the Kool-Aid.
I got that Kool-Aid right here.
No.
And I'm afraid you're going to make me drink it.
No. And again, because this is where my bias comes in both ways, right? My bias comes in both ways because my hype for this game is so strong that, it influences me to say, I want this game to come out early. I can see it come out early. The theory fits. It all works. Like but it works in the opposite way too. When stuff like this happens, then I can go,
No, I've been feeling the same way, and I've been having that like this entire week. I've been like, but they could do this, but they could do that, right? But maybe it's this instead. You start to like making like extra excuses on top of extra excuses, right? I'm still
absolutely
it's still possible, and the reality is it's still possible, right? But it does every day that goes by. It's a little bit less. It's a little bit less. Fuzzy, are you still on the heavy march train? I have a feeling. I don't know if you were there, Fuzz, but you're on mute. If you are, you've been on mute for like 30 minutes, probably.
Yeah, I hope you haven't been trying to talk, Fuzz.
Yeah,
I thought you
this
might
has
be
happened.
doing
This has
something.
happened before,
No.
where he's been like missing for like an hour and a half, and he's like,
Right.
"Oh, I've been on mute this whole time."
Because he was quiet during a lot of the Ubisoft stuff, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
he's not usually quiet like this.
So your faith in March is still strong, Fuzz?
Yeah, it's still strong.
That's not as strong as I expected you to say yes.
It's
You've been the one that's been
'Cause
the
I'm-
most adamant. You're said, and you're like, yeah.
well, I'm still thinking they've gone gold in secret. Like, I don't think they wanted to announce. It kind of depends on how this Redfall thing goes, because I'm kind of thinking along the same lines with Pong, where if they're pushing this hard, I mean, sure, it may be seen that Redfall needs more of the marketing than Starfield does. Starfield is its kind of own like known quantity type of thing, but if they're really pushing this, then how far out would that push Starfield then? So I'm still under the impression that this is a disguise or a rouge or something like that, where it's like, hey, come see Redfall. Oh, by the way, Redfall, we're only showing 5 minutes of it, and the rest of the time you're here, it's all Starfield, but they don't want to tell the public that. And I kind of think that's the gig, because I don't foresee them having community members or like influencers for something like Redfall. Like, it's not a knock on Redfall, but I don't see them really getting influencers to get after this game in that sense. Like, if you want to do that, you don't have to fly them out there. Just send them codes for like the beta test stuff, almost like the way like a Destiny or a Division would do, where you have people doing the loot runs, like a mini leveling type of thing, where do a test run, make sure loot drops seem rewarding, and that find out if there's any exploits on like how people power level sometimes and things like that, like kind of like the last minute stuff that they could test before launch. But sending influencers out there, I just don't see it for Redfall. And maybe it's just my blind eyes.
The reason I think it makes sense to have like YouTubers fly for Redfall is because that's a game where it's still kind of mixed messaging, like consumer wise, where a lot of people don't know what it is. So you see like your favorite YouTubers like group up into like a party of 4 and just run through a couple levels of Redfall, and you put the video out a couple weeks before it comes out, and people are like, oh, that looks fun. Like, I saw my favorite YouTubers all like having a good time playing that game. Like, that's where I see the influencer side of it makes sense for Redfall.
Yeah, but Microsoft can still do that without flying them out there. Like, all of that is stuff that Microsoft, of all companies, wouldn't have to spend a dime to send people out. Like, I still think all this,
you want the
red carpet
influencers
stuff
to talk good about your game. You don't want to just say, here's a code and then give shitty opinions. You want to wine and dine them.
Yeah, but I see it more for like a Starfield. Like, Starfield would be the one that's worth the whining and dining. And it's not a knock on Redfall. I don't know. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I would honestly, from a Microsoft standpoint, even though this is Bethesda's baby, I could see them doing something more like this for Forza than Redfall. Redfall doesn't, like, not to downplay the game, I just don't see it being worth a plane ticket for people.
Not worth a plane ticket.
No, not that the game is not worth it, but I can't see Microsoft saying, okay, we're going to send plane tickets out for Redfall.
Yeah, that's a lot of money just for a game that, not so many people are.
Yeah, they're actually paying for the flights.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they're sending people out, so they can get more people into the game.
Yeah.
You can force it down everyone's throat. It doesn't make it a game that you need to fly everyone out there. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't have to fly people out for
grounded.
You didn't have to fly people out for Sea of Thieves. Like that's why I don't see it for Redfall. Like they didn't even do this for Sea of Thieves, and Sea of Thieves, let's be frank here. Sea of Thieves was intended to be a bigger IP from start than what Redfall is. And they didn't do any of that. So I know their marketing has changed a bit, but I don't see them saying, hey, let's spend $20,000 on tickets alone for Redfall when it would be more likely done for like a Forza or Starfield.
Maybe this is part of that extra money from Microsoft, the injection into
the
Bethesda.
billions.
Bethesda's like, hey, sure, we're gonna make a whole because the way these invites are put out there, it's like, come visit the town of Redfall, right? So it's like what I'm projecting in my mind, all these like YouTubers and like people are gonna show up, and there's gonna be like this whole set, right, in like this abandoned warehouse or some shit. I don't know what the location is they're going to. And it's gonna like they're going to go in, and there's gonna be like creepy like fog, and it's gonna be dark, and you can see like people dressed like vampires everywhere and stuff like that. And they're gonna have like this screen and this eerie. Bethesda's done stuff like this before. They've actually at an E3 showing where they had their Bethesda show, they did a whole like thing where they transformed like the whole area outside, and people walked through, and it was like, I can't remember the games that they had it themed on, but they're kind of known for doing some unorthodox stuff like this. The thing
I
is,
think they had the diner from Wolfenstein.
Maybe I don't remember what it is, but they had like all this different stuff. But I think that there is a little bit to that. Like I feel like they may want to be propping up Redfall. I agree with Jasper there, because like it is an Arcane game. It's not the Todd Howard game, right? They want to give it as much marketing. Microsoft wants it to be big. You know, this is their Arcane's first big multiplayer venture here too. They're gonna have all these more millions of people gonna have access to it. You know, so that I think they are wanting to prop that up. But at the same time, maybe like that's still maybe that extra value of promoting Starfield could be there within the the price that this whole event's costing. Because what it's seeming like to me, just based on like the invites and everything that we're going through with this, is it's a pretty costly event, right? Like, I mean, I would imagine very, very expensive, right? So
yeah, that's why it's Starfield.
That's what I'm thinking.
So I don't know. Like, it's just interesting, man. Like,
I mean, like even smaller. Atomic Heart did this. Like, they invited a couple people out. Like, they did some stuff in like Russia, and they like themed it all like Atomic Heart themed in like some buildings. So
I remember that.
It got a lot of like negative.
It did, because it looked like a Soviet like
but
propaganda.
But I'm just saying, like, smaller games do it too.
Yeah. True. I don't know. I just appreciate the effort here, guys. I really do. As marchers, as Prophet, I really do appreciate the effort we're going to get this back into Starfield again. I like it. But I really do. Fuzzy, it was Starfield,
even the toaster.
If you look at the invitation from Colt, I mean, it is very similar in the shape of the Starfield logo.
What?
So, you know,
it's just this is major conspiracy theory here.
Like
the envelope looks like the shape of a star.
Not the symbol that's on the invitation itself.
The symbol. What looks like?
Symbol.
What does it look like?
It's the bite, like the Redfall bite.
Yes.
No.
That is embossed on the envelope as well.
The actual invitation.
The black letter.
No. Yes,
the
with
black
the red lettering.
Is space. The black is space, so therefore, you know.
if we take the letters Redfall, we can. There is a E. There is an L. There is a D. There is an F. Right. You can take the Redfall
and then if you
letters.
Take out the invitation out, you can find the other letters.
You're just missing an I, an S, and a T. You know, and you can still spell.
It looks like a spaceship.
Starfield.
When it's supposed to be a lighthouse. I'm just saying. It fucking looks like. I'm just saying. They could do like a 2-day event. They could do the Redfall. Oh, by the way, tomorrow we have some other stuff to show you, and then it's Starfield. Or just sit back and we have some more stuff to show you.
And this has been crazy time with Fun Speculations Network here, chat. We appreciate you all joining in on our insanity for Starfield. Okay, this is how far it's gotten. This is what happens when you drink the Kool-Aid.
And I do think
Come on, Shane J, you're with me,
is worth a plane ticket. Okay, I'm just saying. Fuzzy can keep his thoughts right there. You know, Redfall.
I got some more crazy thoughts. Like, you
go,
guys saw
go
the toaster, right?
He might be onto something, because if you look at the invite, the lighthouse in the background, there's a moon.
Yeah, it's
oh my god,
vampires.
There's a moon.
I'm just
Let's
saying.
go.
There's a moon.
I'm just saying.
I mean, that's I don't
There's
know.
also a sailboat, like setting sail in space.
No, it's a schooner. It's a fucking schooner. Get it right, Jasper.
Oh my god. No, but to be honest, if it is what it is, if it's face value, that it's Redfall, I got to give props to Bethesda for going all out for Arcane here. I mean, this is very impressive. They didn't do this with Deathloop, right? They haven't pushed an Arcane game like this in forever.
They took Sony's money for those games.
Yeah, this is on another level. And this shows the Bethesda marketing prowess that we all talked about when they acquired Bethesda and what they could do for Xbox going forward, right? So if they're out here, because as you know, I've said from day one that I thought Redfall was going to be a much bigger game than everybody was giving it credit for, that this was going to be potentially Arcane's biggest game of all time. Just on the basis of Game Pass and it being a multiplayer co-op game as well. This could be Arcane's time to shine. And if Bethesda believes that internally and they're taking this to the nth degree to make sure that everybody is talking about Redfall, then hey, bravo, Bethesda, bravo. I mean, again, this is extra special. Flying this many influencers out for a Redfall specific show, I never expected this. Yeah. This would be something that, you know, even if I say that Starfield doesn't need it because Starfield is already blowing up everywhere and all you got to do is show something and it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if I say that this is Starfield level, again, this means that Bethesda is truly believing in this game and they really want to give it its best foot forward. They want to give it the best chance to succeed. And, you know, what can you say? This is huge support. So I love to see it.
Alvin with the $5 super chat said, as I've super chatted many times, I appreciate you for all those other many times super chats as well, Alvin. It says, Redfall has 2023 Game of the Year on lock. The disrespect shown here is palpable. Oh, in 2023, in this year, Alvin's guaranteeing pretty much that Redfall will win Game of the Year.
Alvin!
Arcane comes on strong with their games scores, the journalists' darlings. I'm particularly excited for Redfall, and we're not trying to disparage Redfall, except for Fuzzy when he said it wasn't worth a plane ticket. For me, it's like I'm talking about
now, Fuzzy.
the different levels of hype for Starfield compared to Redfall out there. Now they're not really in the same territory in that respect, but Redfall's still big. Redfall to me is still big, right? The Starfield, because it's a Bethesda Todd Howard game, is on another level.
What would that say for Xbox's year, though? If Redfall wound up being Game of the Year, beat out Zelda, beat out Starfield, beat out Spider-Man 2, and was Game of the Year.
It doesn't count. It was in development before Xbox bombed.
Oh my god, that would not. That would be amazing for Arcane. It would be amazing for Bethesda. Wow. It would be huge for Xbox.
Right. Can you imagine?
Could you imagine even if in the Game of the Year nominees, if it was included, was Starfield was there, Redfall is there? What if you have Hi-Fi Rush there as well?
And then Zelda and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, exactly. Which are both DLCs, right? So,
what'd you say, Caitlin?
So is anyone else dying over this comment someone made referring to the Redfall event? It was Sky L. If they are doing this for Redfall, I am expecting the resurrection of Christ for Starfield.
Todd Howard gets up on stage. Is like, "Hey, I'd like, normally I do this presentation, but I'd like to introduce my best friend, Jesus Christ.
Jesus here. It's my son.
Jesus,
my son. I am Jesus. God, Howard. This is my son, Jesus here to actually present."
And Jesus comes out wearing the leather jacket too.
Yeah,
wow. With the Starfield T-shirt, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. If that happened, you best believe it's a shadow drop.
Yeah, you best believe it's a miracle.
It's a miracle at that point, right?
The last one he did was turn water into wine, but this year he's putting Starfield out right now.
Right now, everybody.
And it'll have no bugs.
Play before the aliens.
It'll have no bugs.
Oh my god.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, maybe they'll actually take influencers to space for the Starfield event.
They hire Elon Musk. They just put fucking Colt Eastwood in a SpaceX rocket. All right,
Colt's like, you're gonna see, on my way to Mars, everybody.
You're gonna see Starfield for real, motherfucker. Are you ready? I don't know about this, guys. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for the game. You'll be back in 2 years. That would be
this
crazy.
week's XNC is brought to you by the moon.
That's also when our release date will be on. Cole's been a delayer this whole time.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah, that's why he's not getting invited out to Starfield event.
They sent him the Redfall one.
No, they're making him a believer at this event.
What if behind the scenes, like next door, there was a secret Starfield event happening with only the actual like top tier people in the world, like Elon Musk is in there and stuff like that, and you're the ones that are gonna get to see Starfield.
You're the chosen ones.
And everybody in the Redfall event's like, what's going on behind that curtain over there? I hear like space stuff going on. Like VIPs only.
Starfield's theme song.
Oh my god.
No, Splendiferous. I'm not getting cold feet. I'm being rational because again, this is never this whole movement was never being about irrational. Our whole movement was based upon good theory, and it really was. So no, I'm just being rational in this moment.
At this point, I would honestly say it's probably more likely April than March.
Yes.
However,
it's March 3rd. Okay, listen, guys.
I know. I still have faith. It's still possible.
20 days.
20
yeah,
days.
stick with your guns.
All right, let's go. All right.
It's too early for this.
Just whenever I falter, babe, you always come through and prop me up.
Okay, I got you.
Harry, you getting messy. Harry's getting messy. He says, as soon as Gaz left the show, Colt got invited. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God. Shout out to Gaz. I'll miss Gaz on XNC, that's for sure. Oh, that's funny, though. That's funny. All right, so.
Maybe that's why it really went down. Colt got the call and said, hey, you got to get rid of Gaz.
Hey, they said I could go to this thing, but, they've said you were a problem. They said you're a problem.
It's not worth a plane ticket from London to LA.
They don't like the sauce.
There's a rumor about you being a pony for a couple of months, like I don't know, man. Hey, Gaz, I'm just going to tell everybody you got another job. All right. I'm just going to tell everybody, you can save some face here, bro. Just tell everybody you got another job. Right. We'll bring in Mag, who makes fun of PlayStation fanboys.
Correct.
I love both of those guys. Colt knows how to pick really entertaining co-hosts.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yep.
What does that say about Colt? No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Shout out to Colt. We love Colt. All right, so moving on. Sony has to disclose its secrets to Microsoft, everybody. The ABK deal is maybe providing some amazing salt to be rubbed in the wounds of Sony fanboys and Sony themselves. Jim Ryan, after this merger probably goes through anyway, because if by this point, timeline wise, when this would happen, we have to check everything here. The EC and the CMA at this point would have been approved, right? The FTC would still be delaying things by forcing things down with the court path unless they had agreed to the same concessions that the EC and the CMA have. So the FTC, if they don't do that, at this point, Microsoft would still close, as they've said they would have. They would. They've actually disclosed that to the FTC, saying that, hey, we'll still close, and we expect to be sued from them to take it to federal, right? If that's the case, right? And at that point, the deal will be closing. So at that point, ABK would technically be a part of Microsoft, right? The deal would be closed. So not only would Jim Ryan have lost in that regard, and Sony lost in that regard, they would just sit there seeing ABK is now part of Microsoft and proceeding forward, moving forward with the case, the FTC and Microsoft would get to see these documents from Sony, right? So that'd be like a double whammy to the face here for Sony, right? It would make everything that they were doing this for irrelevant, right? And then now they have to show the goods to their fan base, to all of gaming's fan base, to the FTC, to Microsoft, and man, that's a. Do you think there could be potentially a level of regret here from Sony? Or some remorse of like, man, we done fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've been hearing it from us. You've been hearing from a lot of people. Of course, the ponies, the clown show, the circus has been running around. Oh, this is no big deal. This is no big deal. You heard it now from Hogue. If you went and watched his show today, Hogue, again, M&A attorney, flat out said that, yes, Sony could live to regret this. Like, this is not what you want to have happen. Like we talked about last night, Mav. Nobody wants to let anybody see internal documents. I don't care what you're trying to do. You don't want that. Again, even Microsoft, when they had to give up all the documents to the regulators and they gave over 1 million or whatever the hell the number was, it was a ridiculous amount of documents. In the grand scheme of things, of course, you never want to do that because you don't want people to have that top secret information. And again, this industry is more top secret than anybody. We can't even get screenshots for games that have been in production for 5 years, for God's sakes. You think Sony wants Microsoft having anything of their internal documents? No, of course not. That's why they fought it. So yeah, at the end of the day, and I'll let other people talk because I've talked about this so much, but for sure, this is a fuck around and find out moment for Sony. They pushed hard and they went scorched earth to try to get this deal killed. There's consequences for that, right? And this discovery that Microsoft has asked for and the judge has overall granted, of course, he toned down the scope of the discovery, but again, they are going to have access to sensitive information from within Sony, including the contracts, but also including internal emails between some of the highest people within Sony Corp and Jim Ryan. So this is not a good thing for Sony at the end of the day. Hogue said it today. He thinks that the judge probably will seal these documents. Anything we do get publicly will be redacted. But Hogue once again reiterated the same stuff that we've been talking about. Leaks in this type of information, when this discovery happens, leaks do happen.
We've seen leaks from the Supreme Court hearings. So
yes,
this is not even that level.
Right. Potentially, we're going to get information that Sony would not want other people to see at the end of the day. And Hogue brought it up again, too, as well. These documents that these regulatory bodies are now having access to as they've been educated may wind up coming to bite Sony back later on after this deal is long either done or toasted or whatever happens here. The regulatory bodies might start looking at Sony's way of doing business and their exclusivity deals and saying these aren't customer friendly. This isn't consumer friendly business practices you are doing, Sony. Come on back in. We want to talk about this stuff. So yeah, I think that Sony is going to wind up regretting this one way or the other. And it could be multifaceted. It could be with some of their partners. Some of the third party deals that they've done. Some of those partners might looking at them side eyed because they brought a lot of spotlight to this industry by crying so loudly about this, screaming. And just from the regulatory bodies themselves. And now Microsoft may see things that indicate roadmaps about what Sony plans in the future. that gives them an advantage.
It does. Yeah. I mean, that's a really interesting thing. Like, what is Sony's plans, right? Like, because they're known for saying one thing and doing another a lot, right? Even with their like business strategies and stuff regarding PlayStation. So like there could be information with that. It could, like licensing deals that they have. It could be exclusivity deals and stuff like that as well. You could have, and that goes back for a few years. You get to find out about potentially canceled projects as well. Like, I'm real curious to find out about it and what. Like the main thing is, what do the contracts look like? For me, that they have these third parties sign, like Square Enix, right? And if we can see those, that would be the best thing. And that's also pretty damning for them to have to show that stuff to the regulators, right? Yep. Because if those contracts are anything like the Capcom one that got leaked before, then that pretty much is a dominant market share position muscle tactic type contract, right? Yep.
And that was Microsoft's reasoning for requesting them. And Sony tried to deny that and say, well, this has nothing to do with the case. And the judge was like, Yeah, it does. Like that's the basis of this, right?
Some people have been saying, "Oh, it's only for 3 years or 4 years now, 2019." That doesn't really matter. Like shit, that's enough, right? I mean, even in just that span, you have several games that have been announced and stuff. That's this entire generation so far. Plus,
there could be stuff that we don't know about. There could be stuff unannounced that they've got deals cut with already. That's another big thing.
Exactly. So we're gonna, if this goes all the way through, so that does that lead pressure for Sony to try and, come to an agreement, back away from their challenge, get the FTC to maybe do so as well, and come to terms with Microsoft sooner than later, right?
Well, I think it's too late for Sony. They've already lost everything that they're probably going to lose out of it, so they might as well keep going.
Well, except for those documents becoming public, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like they've already had to like submit those, haven't they? So it's like they're already. Oh, well, whatever. But like, if they do, then
I
they're
think
already
they would be exposed at the hearings, right?
Yeah, they're so far in though. Like, what else they got to lose?
Well, it's not Sony's call though; it's the FTC's call at the end of the day, right? The FTC is going to decide whether to go forward or not. So
right,
again,
but
CMA,
if the Sony backed off of their challenge, would the FTC go ahead and approve it? Because the FTC has been parroting Sony as well.
FTC wouldn't approve it. It's not just because Sony; they're just not going to approve it because it's FTC.
Right, and if they approve it or not, it's irrelevant pretty much anyway, except for this aspect, right? Because if it goes all the way to court, it's still a win, and Microsoft wins by also those documents probably getting exposed potentially to the public, which maybe Microsoft sees those. I think those have to get transferred to the lawyers ahead of time, so they have time to look through it all. I would assume so. It's not just be like, hey, here at the hearing, here they are. Here's all these documents. No, it's going to be like beforehand, probably whatever now, or I don't know when they gave them till to provide them. I don't know the
deadline.
Yeah, but whatever that deadline is to provide them, that's going to have there, and then they're going to have time to look through all those and stuff like that. Like I feel like that maybe opens up negotiation between the lawyers and stuff as well. Again, with the actual terms of Call of Duty and stuff like that, because like at that point, here's your documents, but before we give you these, hey, can we just talk about that licensing deal one more time? You know what I mean? Because if the FTC did back off, because if Sony backed off, right, that would be like the best thing in my opinion for Sony at this point, because they're still going to get what they were going to get anyway. They're going to get the 10-year licensing deal regardless, right? They're going to get like CMA. They're going to get whatever the CMA negotiates, right? That's going to be like the hardest, most stringent contract of concessions. And that's whatever that is, that's what Sony's going to get, point blank, right?
But that's in London, though. UK.
But those terms are going to be agreed to for everywhere. Like whatever that happens there, that's going to be same for UK, for EU. And they're going to present those to the FTC. It's going to kind of probably become a blanket.
We're not going to make a whole separate game just because some stupid rule from the UK. So,
like whatever those concessions are with the CMA that the CMA agrees to, that's how the whole structure will probably be. So at that point, Sony's already knows what it's going to be after the CMA and the EC approve it. And that's in April 25th and 26th, right? I think so, as a final say so. And already it's looking like coming out that the EC is approving it. Right, due to Reuters or Rotors, I don't know how you say the name of the website. Reuters.com. It's Reuters. That's
yes.
Reuters. Sorry, due to Reuters, they're pretty much saying it looks like it's going to get passed in the EC, and that it's more positive momentum in the CMA. Right. So with those aspects here, if I'm Sony, whatever those concessions are at the CMA, that's all you're getting. Right.
That's EU
the best you can hope for.
First one? Is the EU the first one on the 25th, or is it the UK on the 25th?
I think it's the EU on the 25th and the CMA on the 26th.
Okay, so that's the best case scenario because you don't want the UK going first because they're more likely to block it. And if they block it,
I feel like this is all happening behind. They're not going to wait till the last minute. Like this is like negotiation thing, and they're going to know probably ahead of time what their decision is going to be.
Yeah,
probably right. So, if it's leaking positive now, I expect that momentum to carry forward and them to come to some kind of agreement with the CMA. And then at that point, they'll release their findings to the public on the 26th, right? So, and that's just the deadline. I don't know if they can move that up if they actually come to terms beforehand or not. Whether or not, or it might be leaked, right? With like what just happened with the EC, right? So, if that happens, you're Sony, you got to know about this, right? Behind the scenes, you got to know, okay, well, shit, this is done. We better agree to the same thing that they agreed to with Nvidia or Nintendo, or maybe a little bit if Microsoft offered them a little bit more, whatever that is, right? Because at that point, you have nothing to win with the FTC because you're gambling on the FTC winning in federal court. If you're Sony, that's like the worst possible fucking thing you could gamble on. Like, you gamble on the FTC winning in court, right? So if I'm Sony, I gotta hope at that point that I can come to an agreement with Microsoft and that the FTC court case and everything doesn't become public, right? That's just my feelings on it, right? Because that's the only thing Sony still has to lose.
And Sony knows the FTC case is the weakest. I mean, their attorneys are advising them that the FTC's got no case, right? They put all their eggs more so in the EC and the CMA. That's why Jim was out there constantly, right? It's because they knew that was their greatest chance.
He was pulling like a Redfall event for them. He was like, "Hey, let's get some massages," like got some special people for you to see. They'll take care of you over here and get some drinks.
Talk about a happy ending.
Special massage over here. Got some gift baskets with some PS5s for your kids.
PSVR 2s.
PSVR 2s. Be careful.
Watson special.
Could cause you to go blind. Just be careful with those.
We checked these ahead of time. Don't worry, we checked these. These have been tested.
Yeah, man. I feel like there's really nothing after the CMA if approves it, which I think is gonna happen then. And Sony's probably already starting to hear things about how these.
If
things
I
are
was
go.
Sony, I would be arguing for percentage on the sales right now, because I would assume Microsoft can change that once they buy.
You mean
Duty, right?
instead of 30%,
yeah, I would assume Sony would want to try to at least keep that 30%. Like, Microsoft could change it and be like, no, you only get 20 now. I don't know.
Well, I think that's pretty standard, 18. That 30% thing, right? So maybe Sony's like, give us 35, give us 35%. Microsoft, fuck you, man. What are you talking about?
Microsoft ain't gonna mess around with this at all. They're not, especially if they're gonna pay somebody to watch them. They're gonna pay for their own watchdog.
Especially they got that. They already know. It seems like they got that winning hand now with the EC without even having a signed agreement with Sony. So once that happens, it's like Sony's like, well, we fucking played our card and we lost, right? If that happens with the CMA as well, they play their hand and they lost, right? At that point, you have nothing to gain with the FTC, and you only have more things to lose to the public image and like your dealings getting out there to the public, all these things. Like, I don't know if there's a way that I don't know if it's too late, period, point blank, right? Regardless, I don't know how the process works. You know what I mean?
I'm sure Microsoft would come to the table at any point, even after the deal. Like, Sony, you want a contract with Call of Duty? Here. 2 years later, like, Microsoft will always come to the table with that.
No, I'm talking about with the documents, like being exposed, right?
Yeah, that'll be up to the FTC if they want to kibosh the case or not.
Yeah, and I don't know. Even if Sony agrees, there's no guarantee the FTC would do that. So
yeah, because then there would be like, what is Sony trying to hide? Then they would want to know, possibly for their own fact, of what Sony's been doing behind the scenes and things like with their deal making, and then they could be maybe have some cases going against them for their deals, but we don't know.
And we're also forgetting too. I mean, the FTC judge that's overseeing this could rule against the FTC, right? The judge that's handling
which is an earlier date, right?
Right, which is an earlier date. He could look at all these documents and say, no, FTC, you can't move forward. There's no case here to pursue, and he could actually rule against him, which has happened in the past. So
yeah, that same judge was it the same judge that did allow all these other losses to go through to federal?
Right.
So it's like he's
no. It'd be a different one. Like, I think this guy. I don't know if this guy has overseen any of those other ones.
Okay, because there was like 0 for 6 so far, right, under Lena Khan, and this would be 0 for 7.
Also, now, like, since the other Republican left the FTC, it's like your case is even weaker. So it's like, you have no opposition there.
Right, and Lena might be going before Congress. So, I mean, it's going to get real messy.
It's going to be so interesting, man. It's like, And we'll hear them talking about Call of Duty in these fucking hearings, like with the in government, like you know how those things go. Like, thank you, Speaker, for allowing me to speak. Call of Duty is a video game made by Activision, and it's very popular, and we can't survive without it. Thank you. You know, what does that? What does that go? You know. All right, so moving on past that.
I didn't hear Fuzzy talk again. Is Fuzzy gone again?
Fuzz, I don't. What are you doing, Fuzz? You are you? Yeah.
He's looking up plane tickets to Redfall.
He's like, this Redfall event sounds pretty damn good here.
I just hope that these documents do leak. Like we've heard some discovery leaks as far as like with the whole Fox thing, Fox News versus the ballot box people. So I'm hoping we get like similar leaks as far as the emails and whatnot, especially the contracts. Like there's enough games within that, was it 3-year or 4-year range, that they should have plenty of ammunition against them. But the one game like 3-Bit was talking about in our DMs was it Stellar Blade? Yeah. That should definitely be in that whole mix. So
Project Eve,
that game that they basically paid to keep off of Xbox, and there'll be a whole list of games that they've paid to keep off of Xbox. Wondering if the Final Fantasy VII stuff will be in there, but
they had an extension. There would be, right?
Yeah,
the extension will be.
Yep. It'd be great if the FTC judge is actually like Pony Killer 69 on Xbox. He's actually a secret Xbox guy. He's a bot, and he starts leaking himself.
My son loves Xbox, so let's look into this deal. There, Sony. Oh, why? Oh, this is why Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy 14 is not on Xbox, because X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay. How about oh, what's this? Oh, okay. And they could be in bigger trouble if the federal government's like, yeah, we need to look into your financial.
Yeah, but like, what's going to happen? Like, if they look into it, they're going to have to pay a fine at the end of the day. Like, okay, it's $1 billion company, a fucking couple $1 million fine. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, they're a $1 billion company. That $1 billion,
timed exclusives are outlawed at some point. Wouldn't that be?
Yeah, timed. You can't have time. You can have exclusives if you own the games, but you can't have time. You can't pay for exclusivity for third party games.
Right.
That'd be crazy, bro.
I'd be for it.
Yeah.
Gaming before it. Sony will shut down. They, I don't think. No, not trying to be fucking a fucking bot, but I'm just thinking that if Sony can't get these like deals and these like with how they did with Call of Duty, I mean, they're in the business to make money.
But there's still a lot of publishers and developers that go to Sony first without a contract deal.
Yes, but if Sony themselves don't see it financially worth it, they've closed branches of Sony to pour money into PlayStation to keep that money going. I just think that it's just.
So you think like them fighting this could actually have potentially negative impacts on their own business in the long haul if they can't?
It could very well.
Right. If there ends up becoming a law down the line that you can't, it's like anti-consumer to money hat third party games.
Even if it doesn't become a law, it's going to negatively impact them in the sense that if you're a dev now and you know that certain devs were getting twice the amount of money that you were getting for your exclusivity deal,
I would actually hate that law, because the only problem is it's going to affect us, because the rest of the world won't have that law, so the developers can do whatever the fuck they want. So it only affects us, so we're going to be losing out on more games.
Well, I'm saying the EC and the CMA could look at it too, though.
Yeah. Ultimately, I give Sony a lot of crap for this, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to do that. What I have an issue with is their hypocrisy of trying to like I'm afraid Microsoft's going to do that.
This is
right. And I don't like it for third party big titles as much either, because I think it's like maybe a good business move, but like I'm kind of more on Phil's side with that stuff. You're just fucking over a lot of people at the end of the day. right? And it's not really helping anybody. In fact, those games would have probably still sold maybe only a little bit better on the PlayStation than they would have otherwise. But the real benefit there is for the platform holder only to sell a few more consoles, right? And for marketing of the brand in general and stuff like that. It doesn't do a service to the game. And that's the biggest issue I usually have with it is like it's not really servicing the game usually because as we've seen with Square, it doesn't always work out for the best, right?
But for smaller
it's more
devs,
for
like
For
Sony.
smaller
for
devs,
smaller
it does. That's why you
devs,
can't put the
yeah.
law, right? Like,
Right.
you know?
Because you're funding part of the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of games wouldn't
like
be made. Like
some
Starfield,
studios
like-
need it, some studios don't, and they
Right.
just take it anyway, and that's where I don't understand, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I'm thinking that this deal is probably going to get done, and Sony's maybe start to scramble about that aspect of it because I don't think they expected to lose that and have to actually provide these, right? But we'll see.
I definitely don't think they saw request 35 being allowed, and Greg McCurdy's emails going back and forth to regulators and whatnot. So it's not internal emails and
but if you check section 4A in the B
shut
section,
the fuck up, Jeffrey. No, it was just very interesting because that's the stuff that gets real spicy.
Yeah.
What was he talking about? Because that only for him, it's only the last 8 months. But what was he really saying to regulators and things like that? So those correspondence and emails will be available as long as the FTC pursues this in court. So we'll wait and see. And I'm hoping sooner than later. I really want this to get messy as fuck.
Yeah.
I love it.
It'll be entertaining.
It'll be a
Yes.
perfect Christmas gift.
Yeah. Oh my god. We got a couple super chats here to get to. Shout out to T-Pop Fever. Appreciate you, T-Pop Fever. I did it again. T-Pop,
did it again.
T-Pop Fever. Appreciate you. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Sony and PlayStation having to release docs to expose their dirty practices. Psych, karma. That's a good one. Yeah. Also, Alvin with a $10 super chat, bro. Appreciate you, Alvin. Always amazing, Alvin. Says the whole panel is awesome. Chat, so are you. FS best podcast family. It is indeed the golden age of gaming. Also, Destiny is liquid crack, and April is just extended. March #Marchers. Yeah, so we're just we'll say it's so it's like
extended March.
Yeah, so what is how many days in March? Is there 31 days in March?
Yeah.
So it'll be March 32nd on the April 1st. It'll be March
all the way up to March
33rd, right? It's March
Yeah.
60th here, everybody. Right. That's funny, dude. Appreciate you, Alvin. Well, speaking on this, we were just talking about Square Enix, and maybe the exclusivity deals aren't always in the best interest of the company, right? Well, it turns out that another exclusive game that on a Sony platform didn't necessarily perform up to expectations from Square. 2 in a row now, Babylon's Fall, and then now Forspoken. And now you're starting to see more fallout from that, where Luminous Productions, the developers that had just gained their autonomy, they gained their independence as a studio, they're going to be able to have some creative freedom and make their own games. They got one crack at it that failed. Now they're absorbed back in, and they're going to be doing who knows what, right? That happened. Secondly, now it looks like the president of Square Enix may be ousted due to a vote from the actual the board or whatever. So Yosuke Matsuda might be replaced. So I'm just going to read this article from Games Radar. Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda could be replaced as early as June. Earlier today on March 3rd, Square Enix's board of directors announced a proposed change in the representative director of the company. The proposal from the board is that current head Yosuke Matsuda step down, and current Square Enix director Takashi Kiryu take over in the role of president. Now, Square Enix's shareholders will come together to vote on the planned change at some point in June. While there's no guarantee that Matsuda will actually be replaced with Kiryu, all signs are pointing to a change, thanks to Square Enix's board of directors kicking off the process.
Shareholders, you better you better vote to kick him down.
This proposed change comes after a series of high-profile disappointments under Matsuda. Marvel's Avengers seems to have been a disappointment for both Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics, leading to a development ending on the game later this month. While Forspoken, which launched back in January, was generally met with middling reviews and a lukewarm reception from players at large, with its developer Luminous Productions now being absorbed into Square Enix. Additionally, Matsuda's major initiative over the past few years has been a pivot to blockchain technology and NFTs. Y'all remember when they shed off Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics and stuff? They said they were going to be using some of those funds to put into NFTs or whatever. Something that's drawn the ire of Square Enix fans the world over. For all the planning and funding the initiative from Matsuda has received, it's yet to turn a profit for the company. Square Enix's latest financial results in November 2022 showed a dip for the first half of the 2023 fiscal year, with Final Fantasy XIV generally carrying the company in sales. The company announced disappointing sales for Dragon Quest X or Dragon Quest X and Live Alive, both of which actually fell short of sales of Nier Replicant and Outriders the year prior. Now, Outriders outsold, though. Wow, Outriders.
Oh, and what was the difference? What was the difference? Oh, wait, Outriders was on Xbox. Oh, wait, Outriders was in Game Pass.
Right.
Oh my God.
Outriders actually outsold those. Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. Amazing. Anyway, whether Matsuda does end up departing Square Enix in June remains to be seen, but it's clear the company has been in a bit of turbulent time of late. Well, I think I speak for a lot of Square Enix fans and gaming fans when I say, yes, let's do it. Get the fuck out of there and let's get some new direction there. I wish this was happening at Ubisoft and the Yves Guillermo family got pushed out.
Maybe they're switching places.
Well, that would be bad too, Jasper.
Oh,
can we just have like Vince Zampella own gaming? Just like general, just put him in charge of gaming. Hey, you know, you got your Squares, you got your Ubisoft, you just run everything, right?
All the failed companies go underneath him. That'd
be great. Exactly. Yeah, it's very
he's like the bar rescue of video game industry.
That would be amazing. Yeah, what was that one with Gordon Ramsay too, where he went into restaurants? Kitchen Nightmares.
Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah, Kitchen Nightmares. It was Video Game Nightmares, the show, right? Video Game Rescue.
Zampella just walks in.
It's like it's just, all right, Eves. Let me see your office. What the fuck is this? You got drinks everywhere, Eve. What the? You still got this board saying everything has to be monetized at the ass? Do you not have any self-respect? Have you given up, Eves? You're an idiot sandwich. All right.
Eves, look at all this vaporware. Look at all this vaporware, Eves.
Look at all these canceled games. These are out. These are expired. Get them out of here.
What the fuck did you do to Tom Clancy?
Okay, now that we've talked, I've put together a plan for your business so we can turn it around. We're going to start by releasing on Xbox. That way you expand your market.
That was the first thing.
30 million users that you could grab.
We got 24 hours to do.
Go cut some deals.
We got the renovation team. Come here. Let's put some Xbox posters on the wall.
I would like to bring in one of my experts. Here's Todd Howard.
Oh, look, I brought Phil with me, and he's got contracts ready to sign. Yeah. Let's go.
All right, sit down, Eves. Let's have it. Oh my God, that's great. Let's have it. That would be an amazing show. Video game saviors or whatever. Vince Zampella, I don't think he has a personality for it though. He seems too nice. Right? You need somebody like
he calls you.
You need the fucking It Takes Two guy. Joseph Maris, is that his name? I forget his name. The guy that with the Haven Studios. Joseph Ferris. Yep. Yeah, you need him. You need like him to speak for Vince Zampella. he needs to be the enforcer. That's right. Anyway, so is there hope now with this news that Square maybe may turn things around and maybe start making some different business decisions and stop taking the easy handouts from PlayStation and avoiding growing their fan base and the rest of the entire gaming community?
I just want to know what happened to the rumors of Sony purchasing Square Enix. Like Square Enix got all dolled
they've moved
up and dressed up.
They've turned to Take Two now.
Yeah, Take-Two. That's an easier get for PlayStation than Square Enix. So, it's more sensible for Sony to go just grab up Take-Two.
Take-Two stock
the revenue
went up
just from
on a random
2K
tweet.
is almost on par with what Sony makes. So I don't think it's Take-Two buying Sony.
Yeah, that random tweet just jumped that stock price right up. It wasn't 50 cents.
Rand said on Xbox 2 today that he had heard that it wasn't because of that.
Okay.
So he had some information, but he didn't remember exactly what the person said. But it wasn't because of that it had jumped.
No, of course not.
But
of course it fucking wasn't. How narcissistic do you have to believe that you as some fucking rando troll
all
on
these,
Twitter caused the fucking
all these investors and all these like traders are like all of a sudden.
Well,
hey, did you see what Ponymaster 5000 said on Twitter?
See this fuck?
He get in on 2K now.
He's got sources.
Bye.
That happened with EA at like the end of last year. Like there was that random fucking no-name like video game article that came out from some website. It was like EA's getting sold or bought by someone. It's like
by
what the
Amazon.
Yeah.
But that was at least looked a little bit more official than this fucking dude's picture on Twitter. Okay, look.
Like he
it's like Joe Bob from fucking Arkansas just woke up and said, "We're buying Take-Two." Yes, let's go.
My name is Earl's like cousin on the TV show. He's like, I rolled out a crack of noon. You know what? And I just went and put this tweet out there, and it just their stock went up.
It's a pundit.
God damn.
I'm gonna go invest in a publisher right now and then make a tweet. Let's go do that right.
Right.
It's almost like the opposite of these Bitcoin things or cryptocurrency drops.
Yeah. Yep. It's interesting. ABK's share has been going up the last couple of days too. Yeah. After this news, the market's just open supposedly or something, and another 1.5%. I don't know, but I think it's gonna be pretty interesting with Square. Like I don't know if hopefully whoever is in charge cares about people playing the games, right? And that's a big focal point. Like games like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 remake and stuff. It's just like I get wanting from Sony. This is why I've said this many times. I don't blame Sony for trying to do those deals. I blame the publishers taking them because they're short changing themselves, in my opinion. Like you're taking the easy money up front, but you're doing who knows how much damage to your brand over time. Like imagine like Call of Duty was only on one platform, right? It wouldn't have the impact it does today. If you have things multiple places, it has a better chance to grow. That's why Microsoft's growing their ecosystem to all these different places, right? Because you have more chances for more people to play. Like I feel bad that anybody that doesn't own just a single PlayStation is not going to be able to play Final Fantasy 16, right? Like there's not even PC. Like I get why Sony does it, and I don't necessarily have an issue with why them doing it, but it's just bad business decision in my thinking from Square because it diminishes the value of Final Fantasy.
It lowers the risk though, like upfront risk. Whereas
but they got to get some fucking balls at some point, man, and just have some faith that they can make a damn good game and put it out in multiple places, and it'll be good. Like I don't get
the thing is that they're gonna have to figure out that also for years of skipping Xbox, it's not going to be an overnight success when you put a game on the Xbox. It's going to take multiple games for the fan base to be like, hey, you know what?
It doesn't help either when Xbox gets the games like 1 or 2 years later also. Right.
Well, also when they do put it out on both systems, that's still Square Enix says it undersold. It undersold. So it's
that is their over. I think I believe the funny thing is when Outriders came out, they said it was success, and then all of a sudden now it undersold, and I just think it was too.
Have they ever had a game that sold to expectations?
I don't know.
I believe not, but it's like that Pixel remaster should have came to Xbox. Same thing with Octo Traveler 2. Same with I don't think Dragon Quest 12 is out yet, but that should come out onto Xbox and everything. It's those games that like if it's Final Fantasy, if that just wants to be exclusive to Sony for a timed exclusive, then they need to release everything else that Square has onto Xbox, and then maybe a year or two, whenever that time exclusive deals ended, and then have Final Fantasy if they still want to go that route. But it doesn't seem to be, if they're changing heads of studio. Is it the head of studio or the CEO or COO?
President.
It's the president.
The president. So it seems that this formula that Square's been doing has not been favorable for them, and their stockholders are fucking fed up with it. So they're thinking that changing the president out and hopefully sees a turnaround. If we start seeing games that were skipped, if we start seeing Final Fantasy 14 being announced, well, I should take that back. We don't know what these contracts and Sony signed up. I wonder if one of these contracts ends, if they have multiple year deals, if those end, and then we start seeing those games that were skipped now coming to Xbox, then we could very well see maybe a new Square going in the future. And again, if we start seeing games coming out, it could be what they've been for Square, what they've been looking for, and gamers that want to play these JRPGs and Square Enix games. It's a win-win for everybody all around, except for Sony. And again, having Final Fantasy 16 being onto that console, it helps Sony. It doesn't help Square. A lot of people are not going to be, oh, I'm going to buy Final Fantasy PS5 for Final Fantasy 16. You might get maybe a couple 100,000 consoles sold because of that, but it doesn't favor freaking Square for holding games back. But
well, I mean, it's just when they keep complaining about their sales and then they keep taking these deals to eliminate such a large player base, it doesn't make sense, right? That's just the bottom line. Hopefully, the new president makes some different decisions. Besides that, everybody, Hellblade 2 got a dev diary. I'm thinking maybe a dev diary. I'm thinking that with this tweet from the actual developer, or not developer, but the somebody within the studio. That's what's the name? I lost it. I had it up here.
Ninja Theory? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it wasn't Ninja Theory, but there's the person.
The guy.
The person's name. Shoot, I had it up here. Anyway, no, it's there's a person that's behind doing these dev diaries, and they're going to start coming out more frequently, right?
Yeah.
From Hellblade 2. So this is leading to speculation right now that if they're starting to do this with Hellblade 2, there's got to be for a reason. Like, I'm thinking this game may actually hit holiday of 2023, which we've been talking about for a while.
Will Potter.
Yeah, that was it. Will Potter. Thanks. Fuzzy, are we going to see Hellblade 2 this holiday?
I think so. I mean, there was rumors earlier in the year that Hellblade was possibly coming. The dev diaries, while not, a guaranteed type of thing, but I think it's a good way to kind of reintroduce themselves to, the fan base and kind of get the buzz going for this game between now and E3, and then maybe, an announcement, hey, coming November of 2023, be a nice thing to have at this year's E3 or their E3 equivalent show. So
yeah,
but I'm hoping that game is the one that comes out this year. Avowed would be nice, but Hellblade, I'm all for it. Go ahead and release it. it'd be nice to get a Forza Motorsport update, but
yeah. So pathway forward, maybe Redfall, or Starfield March or April, then Minecraft Legends in April 18th, Redfall May 2nd, right? If we fall in line with that time period, also May 2nd to April 18th, that's about a 3-week gap, right? So you put, you put Starfield before those, 3 weeks before. Starfield, Redfall, then Minecraft Legends, then Redfall, and then Forza, right? Maybe sometime in July, August, September, something like that. Hellblade 2 for the holiday, right? That's pretty damn good. And maybe you could also have something potentially other smaller thing you reveal at E3.
Age of Empires.
Age of Empires 4 is also the second half, and so that you're locked and loaded this year. Right?
They could just like drop Hellblade right next to Age of Empires because it's two different things. They usually do that for Age anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
They could have another game for holiday, right? I mean, they already surprised us with one game that we had no
could
clue
be
about.
there.
Stalker 2 could hit.
What's that Paradox thing?
Yeah, Paradox next week. Yeah,
next
week.
Yeah. So we got a few gaming events. Their Paradox event is on the 6th, right? That's presented by Xbox.
How good is strategy RTS right now?
Age of Empires. Age of Empires is likely late October because that would be its 2-year anniversary.
2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay. So Paradox show is the 6th, right? And you were saying what they said about that show, Jasper? There's 3 new games, right?
3 new games, 4 new expansions to the games that are already out, and then plus some smaller stuff from other teams that they own.
And Paradox is a studio that was rumored in the past that Xbox was potentially interested in acquiring, right? And now you see this Paradox thing presented by Xbox. You have a strong partnership here.
Relationship. Yes.
And they've put their games in Game Pass too. It kind of reminds me of how they are with Thunderful, which is another publisher that's out there. They're getting these close connections with some of these smaller pubs, right?
Organic growth.
Then we got the Nacon Connect on the 9th. Nacon's an up-and-coming publisher that another one of those that a few years back, you never heard of them, right? And all of a sudden, you're starting to hear their name occasionally. And they got some pretty exciting games coming up. And I don't know if all of them are going to hit this year, but Jasper, you said there was an image of RoboCop, and
they got a RoboCop game coming out. They also making Gollum. That's probably their 2 biggest ones. I think they also have Vampire. Was it Masquerade? I think they also put out, right?
I'm most excited about Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.
Yep.
Yes.
Right. And they just updated that. They're starting to get some more information with newsletters and stuff like that. So I think that game's on track for this year, because it had already been delayed a couple times, right? So Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown could be at that event as well. And then we have a Capcom show on the 9th as well at 5:30.
They said it's going to be like 24 minutes, so it's probably just Street Fighter crap. So
Street Fighter, Resident Evil 4, maybe.
And they got that is it Pung? Whatever the game they got.
Pung.
No, it starts with the P, like Pangaea.
Pragmata?
Pragmata. Yeah.
Pragmata. But they have the other one, that dinosaur game.
Yeah, the dinosaur multiplayer game.
I forget what that one was called.
The not Dino Crisis.
Exoprimal?
Exoprimal. Yeah. That's it.
Are we talking about Capcom now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those 3 shows are this month. So maybe I'll co-stream what we can, right? The 9th would be a good day. Also the thing on the Paradox show. If I can, I will. I don't know how work schedule is going to go, but
I think the biggest one is the Nacon one. Like Paradox is cool, but they do a lot of niche strategy games, so it's not going to be for everyone. Whereas I think Nacon has probably the diverse lineup there for a lot of people. So if you go and choose one, I would say probably watch that one.
And as far as besides the shows this month we have coming, we also have a big month for Xbox, period. Where even if Starfield doesn't hit in March, this is a huge month for Xbox. I mean, you got Halo Infinite Season 3 is finally hitting, right? You got the Redfall is having their event where there's going to be news coming out from there. Wolong is actually just released last night, right?
Yep.
MLB The SHOW is hitting Game Pass as well this month, I believe, right? That's this month, right? Not next. I think
28th.
It's late. Yeah, 28th of March. Ghostwire Tokyo is presumably coming out late March as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be in Game Pass day one here. And then just a recap on the Halo Infinite Season 3. This is like the biggest season yet for Halo. This is one where we're hoping is kind of more becomes the norm of what we see, right? And I'm curious how much this is going to get people playing it again. I don't think it's going to become like the biggest thing ever, right, or anything like that. But it could hopefully gain some traction because they do finally have another 100-tier battle pass. It's been 9 months since that happened, right? 100-tier battle pass. There's going to be the new Fracture event again, Firewall. There's going to be new armor cores. There's going to be 4 new maps.
Infection's coming too in season 3 at some point.
So we got 4 new maps: Chasm, Cliffhanger, Oasis, and then a Forge remake. So this is the most maps we've gotten at once, right? Are those all hitting like at the launch of the season, or are they doing the thing where they're dropping one of them?
I would assume there's probably going to be some that are held back for mid-season.
I hope not. A Forge remake of Halo 5 Guardians Plaza. Escalation. And what is Escalation exactly, Jasper? Is it like... Did they have a timed event with Escalation?
Yeah, I think that's that like shitty BR version thing, right?
Was it that?
I
don't know. I don't remember.
Whatever.
So then we got new guns, or a new gun, and a new like item, the shroud screen.
It's pretty much a smoke grenade, and then a DMR is the gun.
There's a new narrative event, which I don't hold any weight to with that because the narrative events in the like seasons have been like 30 seconds long and pointless in my opinion. We'll see if that changes. Custom game browser updates, in-game reporting. Then they say Forge beta updates, and then various quality of life improvements. And listed on the Halopedia was high performance ray tracing. Did they actually mention that was coming in season 3 at the event?
I don't know.
No, they did not.
I know what's they also today I think it was on Twitter. I saw Sketch put out a thing where they're shutting down Halo Waypoint forums, so you'll no longer be able to talk on Halo Waypoint.
Why?
Because they saw that the conversation has moved to Twitter and they're getting less traffic, so there's no point in hosting forums.
Okay. So they have no like.
There's probably gonna be insider program.
So Halo has no forums,
but there's no community forum. So like, if you just want to go talk with Halo people, you have to go on Twitter.
Are you fucking serious? I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal, but like, it's just like you're trying to be a huge multiplayer fucking thing. Like, you're gonna get rid of your community forums. Like, for real?
Yeah, I think it's April 1st, I think is when it starts.
April Fools.
It's just funny. Bungie, like back in the day, like was the first, like with Halo, like
they talked about it in the third, like, we're so like we saw back in the days, we always loved chatting on Bungie forums and stuff, but there's no reason now. It's like we lost all the traffic on our website. It's all moved to Twitter and various other platforms. So fuck this platform. Let's just...
Well, it moved because there was nothing to fucking talk about other than shitting on it on Twitter. Like, what the fuck?
Anyway,
if you make noise, they'll put it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for your community to have it there at least. You know what I mean, and treat it. Anyway, that's fine. Whatever. Besides that, I think did we cover everything? I think we have actually.
Not the toaster.
No, not the toaster. Yeah, that's a rumor right now. Are y'all excited for season 3?
Yes, I am. But I like Halo, so
right. I am too. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna momentarily at least get back into Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. It's like, I don't know how much it's gonna jump the community. I think people hop in for like a couple weeks maybe, and then it's just gonna be right back to 5,000 people.
But if they see that it's going from 6 months down to what is it now?
3 months.
No, it's 4 months, so it's 16 weeks for this one, which is a huge increase. I mean, that's huge. Because the last one I think was like 6, well, longer than 6, well, about 6, almost 7 months. And then we had that little 30 packer. So hopefully.
Okay, so the form's saying on March 20th, they're going to set all the forms to read only. And then on March 31st, they're going to take steps to archive it and just shut it down.
Do they still have? Are they still going to have Halo Waypoint for like news?
Yeah, Halo Waypoint will be up, but you just can't talk on that website.
Okay, fair enough. Fine. At least they have an outlet to
Take it
put
to
news
Reddit and
out to
Twitter.
the community, besides Twitter, right? Anyway, it's Pong. Will you re-download Halo just to play with us for a little bit? No.
Nope. Too much
Fair
going
enough.
on. Nope.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well,
just
We've got
stream it, right?
Guilty Gear Strive on March 6th as well.
oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, a lot like within the next like week or two. You
Yep.
know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, Wolong into Guilty Gear. Then you have, let's see, MLB The Show's later in the month. So the beginning of
Sifu's
March and
coming.
the end of March. You said Sifu?
Yeah, not to Game Pass, but at least to Xbox. So.
Yeah. When is that?
window.
When is that happening?
I think it's around the end of end of March, like the 28th or something like that. Somewhere between
Right
the 23rd and 28th.
So I was thinking about, on the Xbox, on the Phil Spencer interview, how he said, well, maybe we'll have some other news, like kind of like GoldenEye size or whatever. And I was trying to think about what that means. I think Ghostwire Tokyo could fit in that category,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be something that he knows they have news coming for it, but he can't say anything about it right now, right? So that would fit with that, I think. Let's see here. We had gotten another $2 super chat earlier from Alvin. I appreciate you, Alvin. He says, Shinji Mikami for Square Enix President. All games now Xbox exclusive. Oh my gosh.
That would be
Interesting. Shinji Mikami. Yeah, let's go. So Kate had to bounce because the internet downstairs is acting funny. When we're both on this, it's sometimes hard. So, but everybody, thank you for tuning in to Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Did y'all want to chime in with anything else? Are there any interesting things that I missed that you guys wanted to mention or talk about? No. Yeah. Forza Rally
covered it because I mean,
Forza Rally,
I honestly still think that toaster thing is like an April Fool's joke that got leaked early. I don't know.
It could be. I did see the Forza Rally map on Twitter today.
Yes.
That's pretty, actually way bigger than I thought it would be. Right.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty promising. Looking at that, like if it's actually feels like a full on rally game experience, like I'd be a little bit more intrigued. Right. Than the disappointment that it wasn't my dream Transformers Forza Horizon expansion.
I think it'll grow on me. It's just a matter of I'm hoping that they can get some more vehicles. I was hoping they would get the Lancia license, but it is what it is. But even without Lancia, it should be still pretty fun. Making sparks or flames shoot out of the exhaust and get those things going through the woods or through the dunes of sand and stuff like that. So we'll see.
People for some reason thought Starfield was not going to be exclusive again, and Phil reminded them, right? And people were upset this week about that. Whole show was just gonna be more ranting from all of us on gaming journalism, and also on idiots out there that just can't like put serious actual thoughts together. That still try and twist Phil's words and stuff like that. We had a lot of other stuff to talk about, though. We had an hour rant on
3 is going to be
Ubisoft.
bigger than Starfield. So.
That's true now.
What?
Yeah. That who was that wrote that article? Is VG247. Yeah.
Yes, VG247.
Yeah, somebody thought it was so ridiculous that they tried to tell me it was a parody website. I was like, no, it's not a parody website. It does say they keep it loose and stuff, but it's not a parody website.
No.
They actually are trying to say what they mean.
The title of the article, Fuzzy, was "Now that Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to PS5, could it be bigger than Starfield?"
Yeah.
I guess if you smoke enough crack, anything can be bigger than Starfield.
Yeah.
And I love Baldur's Gate. And
I thought you were
I'm
going to say you love crack.
excited. No,
I'm pretty
I
sure
did at one point, but not anymore.
I'm pretty sure that this journalist was one of this journalist
one
was
of those
probably
pundits.
one of Andy Robinson's pundits. Probably. I mean, you know, we had that whole situation. I got myself blocked because I called him dense. It is what it is. You know, I here's the thing. With the Andy Robinson situation, and with what he had said about if ABK doesn't close, that Microsoft might sell off Xbox, according to industry pundits. I didn't necessarily disagree that there's people that could say that, right? It's just that his job is to know, like, bullshit from like actual useful information to especially if you're going and using it as a contrary to what Phil Spencer himself is saying, right? Like, he's actually going as strong to say, regardless of what Phil Spencer says here, industry pundits say that Microsoft could sell Xbox, right? So he's putting, like, that's pretty strong. You come out that way. And for me, that just rubbed me the wrong way because, like, he can't honestly believe this, right? And if he does, he's kind of like, I lose faith in his ability as a journalist to have intellectual thought. But besides that, it's just bullshit, horseshit stuff that leads completely opposite of everything that's going on. And now, if you were to say Microsoft could change in the future and lose interest into gaming, like, with different leadership and stuff like that, who knows? Because tech companies or big companies happens all the time. You know, you have different CEOs take place.
Does have a history of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Google does it like every day. Yeah, I agree with that, but that's not what this situation is right here, right? Like, this is not that, and this also it completely contrasts everything that this whole leadership team within Microsoft's been about, right? Is you just don't like it would be such a bipolar move.
It was for a click. I mean, again,
it'd be such a Google move.
Well, I'm sick of journalists spreading misinformation for clicks, right? Like, if you're a journalist, do your damn job, and stop just searching for clicks by putting bullshit out there. Point blank. Period.
That is the job now.
That's become the job. It's a shame, right? It's a shame. Like it's just not what it's supposed to be about. You know,
I think it's going to get worse when the deal goes through, though.
It will, 100%. The more fuzzy, like I said this on Twitter, the more it looks like Microsoft's actually going to acquire ABK, and that the deal's going to go through, like a lot of us have been saying. You see more and more of these weird posts, like the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, like the Starfield article beforehand about, like, oh, has Starfield even have an identity? And this, like,
got to justify its existence.
Like, whatever. You know,
even the article about the subpoena stuff, where it's like, oh, they didn't get to see the the performance review emails, but like, there's so much more to that story of the stuff that did get approved.
Yeah, that was another game industry decision.
Yeah, they focused on the positives for Sony instead of the huge win for Microsoft here, right?
When most of the pundits were saying it was a win for Microsoft, right? That they got the most out of that, right? And GI still twisted it
to a positive PlayStation thing. I just don't understand, like, why the industry in the games media is like this. You know, like,
a lot of it's access.
It's the free codes and review copies, free samples. It's also, a lot of them probably grew up on PlayStation.
A lot of them are also owned by the same parent company that's in talks with Sony and stuff too. So it's like,
at some point,
Christopher Dring is one of the few reporters that have actually been able to sit down with Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
So there's he keeps that relationship, right?
It's just, at some point, you have to account for integrity.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like, as a human being, like, that's just something that's like ingrained in me as a person, is to have integrity and to say what you mean and say what you think and say what you believe and do what you say you're going to do and all that kind of stuff. Right. Like, integrity is like an important character trait. Right. And when you see, and that used to be a big part of journalists. Like, you have integrity with your job, and you do your job to the utmost respect, to respect the industry that you're in, right? To respect the readers, the listeners, the people that are trying to gather this information, because it's what you're putting out there, right? So it's all lost for clicks now. It's all lost for attention. It's all lost for bias. It's all lost for this and that. And if it's just a shame to see, point blank period. And I've had rant streams this week. I've gone harder on Twitter because of all this stuff this week, and it's just like it's just disappointing, because we've lost a thing that I've loved in the past, in my opinion. Like, I used to love reading these gaming websites and gaming articles and gaming news and all this stuff. It was a huge thing. You used to check the sites every day, right? You used to go to Kotaku every day, IGN every day, N4G and all the random other websites that had accumulated within there, right? And I mean, joystick.com, oneup.com, gametrailers.com, Game Informer. I was like a news junkie with gaming. Every website, every day, I had to see what was going on everywhere, right? And it has become such a fucking cesspool of clickbait biased headlines right now, just opinion-based conversations. And even when they put stuff out there as information, usually it's slanted one way or another. And it sucks that this permeated into the gaming journalism community to make it so valueless. It holds no more value, right? Except for entertainment. And with entertainment is where they lean, because they fuel the toxicity. They fuel the console wars. Whether they say they hate it or not, it's the misinformation and the bullshit that they spread that is at the heart and the root of it. So fuck you, journalists, for not doing a good job. Point blank, period.
Fake news.
Anyway.
What he
all
said.
right. Moving on. Hey, let's get everybody out of here. And that was a weird way to end the show.
Oh, I was just want to say,
yeah.
if you want Gotham Knights or like Ghost Runner, I think is what it's called, and like Payday 2 and stuff, Humble Bundle has a thing right now where like you can pay $30 and get like 70 games, and all the money goes to Turkey Earthquake. So if you really want to build your Steam library real quick, go do that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, and I would like to say this as well. There are a lot of good journalists out there, right?
Yes.
It's just they're decreasing in numbers, and they're being overtaken by the swath of scum. Chris Jones, you're doing a great job over there. Lordsofgaming.net is a great site. I recommend checking them out. Season Gaming is great. Check them out. Windows Central. There's a lot of good websites that you can still go to. It's just there's less than there used to be, right? Anyway, let's get everybody out of here, guys. I appreciate you for being here. Chat, you guys rock. Again, thanks for all the support you do on this channel all the time. If you do like the content, remember, hit the like button, share it out, subscribe to the channel, and all that jazz. It greatly helps us grow. Fuzzy Belvedere, where can everybody find you, bro?
Oh, just thank you for having me on tonight. It was awesome being with you guys. The last minute changes, so didn't have to drive all the way down to Florida. So always enjoy being here with the family. For those that want to hear my endless rambles or rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on the Shop Podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow with PTK Blam and Pong. And yeah, that's basically. Oh, and FSP first thing Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fun Speculation Network.
Right
Look forward to seeing you there.
Fun Speculation Network, FSN. That's Fox Sports Network, so I can't use that. Psycho, where can everybody find you, bro?
Again, it's always fantastic to be on the panel with you guys. It's always fun spending my Fridays talking about games and everything gaming news. Chat, you guys are fantastic. You guys can find me everywhere, social media, under Psychonauts8. You can find me, as Fuzzy said, Mondays, FSB at 10, and here every Friday, 10 o'clock, Xbox Ultimate with the family, talking about gaming and everything else. And yeah.
Right on, bro.
That's all I got.
So. Remember, you guys were supposed to go to the next person for your outros, right? So I'm just standing back. You
right,
take over,
Jasper.
Psycho. There
I'm
you
sorry.
go. All right. No, you're good.
Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, Lord Master Jasper YouTube, AI Game News Twitter for all your up-to-date information, kind of. Artificial Game News on YouTube. That's my stuff. And then if you want to check out where I'm at on this channel, it's Monday and Friday, 10 o'clock right here. Fun Speculation Network, FSP, Xbox Ultimate, like everyone else said. And now it's Pong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Jasper. That was absolutely fantastic, Jasper. Good transition.
That works.
Hey, great night tonight. Thanks, fam. Great discussions. Listen, chat, you guys. Again, the people showing up, the amount of people, the growth here on Fun Speculations channel has been insane over the past year and a half. And I love to see the chat just absolutely flying with a lot of discussion. And it happens on all our shows, which is great because that's what a big part of this all is. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect. Brothers and Caitlin, again, it was great to see you all. Great to have these discussions. Big news week this week. We had a lot going on. But you know what? Find me Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. And tomorrow morning, you already know the drill. Tomorrow morning's Living Split Screen. So get those alarms set, get those reminders set. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word. Be there. Tell a friend, bring a friend tomorrow morning. And then, of course, tomorrow night, as Fuzzy said, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. PTK Blam, Fuzzy, myself, we're going to cover all this stuff too and have a good time while we're doing it. Have us on in the background. Best way to do it. Next week, Xbox Factor Podcast. Every Tuesday, All Good Things Green. You know the drill. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. It's Double Barrel Gaming. It's Mr. Boomstick. Be there as well. And then Thursday nights, PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM every Thursday night. Doing the two-man show, having a good time there. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. It's the golden age of gaming, people. Get out there. Have a great weekend. Play some games. Play what you love what you play. And I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So be there. Mav, tell everybody where they can find you and get us out of here, brother.
Fun speculation everywhere. Let's go. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.
Bye.
Enjoy your motherfucking Friday.
Pick the click. Go get some drinks, brother. I didn't know you want to. All right. Peace out. I'm hunting for OBS right now. I lost it. I can't shut down the podcast until I find it. Hold on, guys.
Yeah,
It's
hit
here
that
somewhere.
button.
All right. Here we go. Peace out.
Click
Bye.
that bean.